Sports.
Live on the Motor Racing Network, it's the NASCAR Cup Series.
Let's get a big thumbs up. Get ready to rock and roll past the race cars today, pal. Go boys, let's execute. Have a good day.
Today, practice and pole qualifying for the Iowa Corn 350, powered by ethanol from Iowa Speedway. Presented on MRN by E3 Spark Plugs. Powerful and fuel efficient. Find E3 at your nearest auto parts store.
Under hazy skies and 74 degrees, we welcome you to the Iowa Speedway in Newton, Iowa. The NASCAR Cup Series at the Iowa Speedway for the Iowa Corn 350. Hello and welcome to Motor Racing Network's coverage of practice and qualifying. Mike Bagley alongside Alex Hayden and Todd Gordon. We've got Steve Post and Jason Toy in the pits in the garage area. Cup cars have just hit the racetrack for what is now the second trip to the Iowa Speedway. Of course, Alex, we looked at the schedule when it came out, and we were pleased that Iowa Speedway is back on it. This racetrack produces great racing, and it did not disappoint 1 year ago.
No, not at all. Ryan Blaney picked up the win here at Iowa Speedway 1 year ago on this 7/8 of a mile track. It is still considered a short track, but Todd Gordon, it has every bit of characteristic of racing as an intermediate track.
Yeah, to me, I always felt like this was like a little Chicagoland. If go back to the days when we raced there, more than a short track. Big sweeping corners, lots of momentum, kind of edgy getting down into turn one. There's some bumps through there, but rolling a lot of speed around this place is pretty important.
37 cars are on the entry list. The garage has been broken up into two groups. Group 1 is on the racetrack right now, and they will get 25 minutes of practice. We'll take a 10-minute break. Group 2 will go out, take another little break, and then everybody will get 2 laps of qualifying for the Iowa Corn 350. Now, we mentioned the garage broken up into groups. Group 1 on the track now. Alex, let's let everybody know where their favorite driver is right now in the group pairings.
In group number 1, we've got Cody Ware, Joey Gase. Austin Dillon is on the track right now. Noah Gragson, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Also Eric Jones, Ross Chastain. Zane Smith is on the speedway. Riley Herbst, Daniel Suarez, and others.
Michael McDowell is included in ththose others, along with Joey Logano, Cole Custer, Kyle Busch, Tyler Reddick, Josh Berry, A.J. Allmendinger, and Shane Van Gisbergen. What's interesting to note, Todd, about this Group 1 is that all of the Trackhouse cars are in Group 1. What kind of headwinds will they face, considering they're some of the first cars on the racetrack?
Yeah, it's tough to get a good read because this is the first group on the racetrack. The racetrack gets more rubbered in as this practice goes through. The second group typically gets a more realistic racetrack for the race conditions. They won't have anybody that gets that data point. They'll all have to kind of extrapolate out of the data they get from this first session.
We continue on. The wind is blowing basically diagonally from turn 2 across the infield towards turn number 4. It is 74 degrees. Now, it is considered sunny. However, there's a bit of a haze. It's not a weather haze, Mike. It's smoke from Canadian wildfires.
Yeah, that smoke has been filtering down into the contiguous 48 here for the greater part of the last week or so. We've had parts of the Northeast involved. We've had parts of even the Mid-Atlantic, and it's amazing how far we are away from those Canadian wildfires, but the remnants of that washing over this area. Now, it's not blinding haze. It just looks like just a hazy, hot and humid day. But it's not hot, it's not humid. As a matter of fact, the weather conditions here, a very welcome feel for everybody when we pulled onto the property.
Oh, it's nice. Got up this morning. It was 57 degrees this morning here in middle of the state of Iowa. Practice is ongoing. Mike mentioned a moment ago, we got 2 pit reporters down there as well. Let's bring them in right now. Steve Post from Halstead, Pennsylvania is up first.
A lot of questions going into this practice session. You guys have documented some of it with the aging of the racetrack, and one of the other factors is a different tire that they have here this year. This is a intermediate construction of a tire, so it's a little bit hardier, but the dynamics of it are a little different. The sizing of it's a little bit different in that the stagger is less, and it's just got crew chiefs scratching their heads and wondering what we're going to see, what we're going to learn. The optimal situation is, unlike Trackhouse, maybe having a car or 2 in this first group and then being able to apply what you learn in this first group as the track evolves into group number 2, and we'll see how those teams are able to do. But really a lot of questions, a lot of mysteries as to what this track has done, what this tire is going to do, and what we're going to have here today. And yes, even the weather. Last year was very, very hot and humid. This year, very seasonable. 70, well, I don't know that it is seasonable. I think it's actually cold for the season. 70-some degrees and a beautiful day to be out and among it. But what that does to the track conditions. So there's a lot of engineers and a lot of crew chiefs underneath canopies right now just trying to learn and watch what this first group of cars are doing here on this racetrack.
Joining Steve Post on the pit lane is Jason Toy of Barbersville, West Virginia.
Well, Alex, one of the things that Steve was talking about, a lot of the engineers and the crew chiefs underneath the awnings that they have on these war wagons and studying. Now, it's kind of unique here in this practice session than we've had before. Generally, you like to get a couple of teammates in the first session and, of course, the other teammates in the second session. But for Hendrick Motorsports, all 4 drivers are coming up in the second segment. All 3 drivers for Joe Gibbs Racing, they're ending up in the second segment as well. So I asked the crew chiefs of those teams, what are you looking for in the first one? They're trying to watch the balance of the cars that are on the racetrack and watching the times and see where they're dropping off. They anticipate these drivers to go out for the full 25 minutes here of their practice time, but they want to see where those cars balance out. So far, we're hearing a lot of drivers saying they are loose in the middle of the corner and off, that they can make adjustments on later on. But right now, trying to see where the lines of these race cars are running on the track to see what they need to emulate in the second session for them later on.
He mentions, Todd Gordon, the balance. Find out where the balance of the car is. And part of what practice is figure out the racetrack as well. We talked about the newer asphalt on the lower 2 groups through turns 1 and 2. Same with turns 3 and 4. What type of balance are you trying to achieve in your race car?
Well, you're trying to get to the point where the car responds to the steering wheel the way the driver wants, without the back kind of stepping out behind you. It's, when you talk about loose, the front tires will go where you point them to, but the rear won't keep up with it. Talk about tight, when you have a steering input, you're just not getting the front tires to respond to what you're doing with the steering wheel. So you're looking to see where that is. And as we watch this, Mike Bagley, you brought it up. Tyler Reddick ran around the bottom, went to P1 on the board. He's now been running around the second groove and was 3 to 4 tenths off. Now has gone even faster in that second groove, finding balance through the multiple grooves of the racetrack.
Basically, in 3 and 4, he is at the top of the patched portion at corner entry and then drives into that patched portion coming out of turn number 4. Right now, Tyler is second on the racetrack. One thing I've noticed, Todd, is that these fast laps that we're seeing, laps 13, 16, 14 for the top 4, and basically going out on the racetrack, maybe being that bottom feeder, but then starting to experiment. Why are the fastest laps now in double digits and not in single digits?
So we talk a lot of times about picking up the other rubber and getting your rubber on the racetrack, getting the racetrack conditioned to being the rubber that's coming off the tire. When you look at this, the Cup cars run a different compound than our Xfinity cars do. So even though they're both Goodyear tires, there's a little different compound to it. We had Xfinity practice and qualifying before this. The start of this session, they kind of picking that rubber up, getting the track cleaned up to what this rubber will lay down, and then the track's condition shows a little bit of speed.
Tyler Reddick lost the top of the leaderboard as far as the fastest car, just got it back 2 laps ago. A.J. Allmendinger is second quick. Ross Chastain has now moved up to third. Austin Dillon is fourth. Cody Ware rounds out the top 5 of 19 drivers, Mike, that have taken a lap so far.
Riley Herbst is 6th right now with Michael McDowell 7th. Ty Dillon's 8th. Eric Jones 9th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is in the 10th position. Watching Tyler Reddick's progress, he's gotten faster and faster. Now, lap 19 just set the fastest time, 23.571 seconds, 133.639 miles per hour.
And as we say that, I'm watching Tyler Reddick into turn 1, and he jumped the cushion. Got up over there. You could see it kind of get squirrely, slide up towards the wall. Had to lift, kind of lose the momentum here. A much slower lap coming across the line that time, but definitely just exploring how far up he can get the groove. Kind of jumped over that. Good to learn and practice.
But that's good for us to know as well. You missed that corner just by the smallest margins. That lap was 2 seconds slower than what his fastest lap was.
And this was when he flirted with getting to the top of the patch. Remember last year we came here, they had repaved the bottom 2 grooves on both ends of this racetrack just through the corners. He was up there playing with the top of that, must have gotten just over the grip of that, and really kind of lost some pace.
Of course, we're talking about Tyler Reddick. He drives for 2311 Racing. Riley Herbst, obviously, with 2311 Racing. So 2/3 of the 2311 fleet, and Tyler Reddick almost lost it coming out of turn number 4 right there. He was able to hang on to the race car. Steve Post is with the third teammate of 2311, or can provide an update on Bubba Wallace, who was able to take the checkered flag last weekend at the Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
What a win for Bubba Wallace, and had the chance this morning to sit in. He held court with a bunch of reporters here today, and first and foremost, Bubba very, very loose. One of the reporters said, all year long you've been on the bubble, and Bubba quickly corrected him. He said, all my career I've been on the bubble as far as the playoff goes. But they got that win, and they talked a little bit about what you do over the next 4 races. And Bubba, again, very lighthearted, very fun. He said, I said to Charles tonight, my crew chief, maybe here at Iowa we should pit for 4 tires on lap 1 just to wonder what people will happen. And again, very, very loose. And then Bubba got real serious, and he said the next 4 races are to find all of our weaknesses, to find all of the spots where we need to work on to get ready for the playoffs. We have this race at Iowa. Bubba is admittedly not looking forward to Watkins Glen. Road racing is a struggle for himself, so they're going to go up there, Richmond, and then the Super Speedway at Daytona. But Bubba said their goal over the next 4 weeks, if we can get some playoff points, but let's hone in on where our weaknesses is so we can go playoff racing and make a deep run into the playoffs. So it was a fascinating Bubba, because he went from lighthearted and fun and cutting up and I don't care and I'm good to go to we've got to find our weaknesses and we've really got to hone in on a championship run. So we'll see how they fare. They start this week here. They're going to be in the next session as far as the practice goes. Their teammates are out on the racetrack working it now, and we'll see what Bubba Wallace and Charles DeNike, his crew chief, can put together and what they can learn and find out here over the next 4 weeks as they, for the first time in a long, long time, first time in Bubba's career, are locked into the playoffs with a few weeks before we start that in Darlington in the month of September.
2311, a 3-car team. Riley Herbst currently 9th right now in practice. The other teammate, Tyler Reddick's at top of the leaderboard, and he's taken that McDonald's Toyota back to the pit lane. We'll follow up there in just a moment. From Iowa Speedway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options now available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-375-3232. 800-375-3232. That's 800-375-3232. National Debt Relief, the official debt relief partner of NASCAR.
Back here at Iowa Speedway, group number 1 on the track for practice. Group 2 poised and ready to go to get back out there. Now, Tyler Reddick, Todd Gordon sits atop the single lap speed charts, but when you look at the longer averages, Tyler Reddick's car is not the best one.
Well, he's worked around the racetrack. I think that's part of what puts it there, but he isn't. He's not the fastest car on the 5, the 10, the 15. That belongs to Ross Chastain in that one car. Really been able to put laps together. His fastest lap was lap 25 of 31 runs so far. Steve Post, you've been listening to it. What are we hearing?
What I'm hearing is exactly what you guys are seeing. Phil Surgeon just cued the radio and said, you are the best car here now on the long run. And where the car is really, really good is rolling the center of the corner, which is such an important part of this oval racetrack here, is to get that car. And Phil Surgeon has just talked about continue to work on that center, but right now that is your strength in working the car. They just said that's 30 laps. They just literally relayed the same information that you relayed, fastest on all of the average. So right now, Ross Chastain is really, really happy with the car. Phil Surgeon seems happy with the car, and they're just going to run right now as long as they can and see what this car does over an even longer run. But right now, Ross Chastain very happy with the handle and everything, especially in the center of the corner. They feel like that's their strength for Ross Chastain.
So Ross Chastain right now, again, he leads in the 5-lap average, the 10-lap average, the 15-lap average, and he's also run the most laps of anybody. He's just run his 34th lap, comparing to Riley Herbst in the second position in that category, who has run just 30. So right now, obviously, things are looking up for 2311 Racing, looking up for Trackhouse Racing. Let's get an update on Tyler Reddick with Jason Toy.
You guys talked about the short run speed that they definitely have with Tyler Reddick, but the concern is, and Billy Scott, the crew chief, and them is wanting to get that long run, because they know as the runs go on, they're going to continue to have track changing because of more rubber buildup on there. They're trying to build up in anticipation for that. So they brought him back down. They were hoping to go the full distance here to try to set it up, but they're going to make an adjustment on the geometry on the right front of the race car. They put the chassis wrench on the left side too. And Todd, I'll bring you in on this. The biggest thing that they talked about, and Mike Bagging documented about the fact that when he was over in turn 4, about broke out on him, he was trying to adjust his brake bias a little bit for him here on this racetrack. How important is that here in these race cars?
Yeah, you talk about it. Brake bias, when we think about it, there's 2 master cylinders in the car. One goes to the front calipers, one goes to the rear. You can adjust the bias bar so when you're pressing on the brakes, you can adjust the pressure balance between the two of them. So you may put some more rear brake in the car. If you're a little tight, you put some more rear brake in the car. Force the rear brakes to have more pressure and kind of use the back to slow the car so the front tires can turn around the corner a little bit more. But at that point, as you continue to adjust that, you'll finally get to the point you start to slide the rear tires a little bit, something you've got to work through.
Single lap speeds as we work through group number 1 practice. Tyler Reddick is the fastest. Second quick Steve Post is Kyle Busch.
And listening to Kyle's radio, his communication with Randall Burnett, yeah, I think they're happy with the car.
Trouble. Kyle Busch is around in turn number 1, Steve. As you're talking about it, he goes for a spin. There is some fire coming out of the headers, but that's just an issue for Kyle Busch in turn 1, Todd.
Yeah, as I look at this, significant right front contact to the right wall. Front clip's been up on that thing. That was a big hit. Looks like he got down into turn 1, and it kind of swapped ends and took a hard right.
Kyle Busch was second in the leaderboard, 23.658, 133.147 miles an hour. We were just about to brag on the successes of this practice session. However, he comes to grief in turn number 1. He has climbed from the car. A lot of smoke and a lot of damage on that car. Safety crews, Alex, are immediately on the scene.
Yeah, and he's going to walk away from it and walk down the banking under his own power. That's a great sign of that smoking Cheddar's Chevrolet. Kyle Busch certainly not happy. Car is now, well, torn up pretty good, as Todd demonstrated there. Steve, let's go back to you. What were they saying about the car just before it broke loose on them?
They just brought the car in and made some adjustments on it, and they said he felt pretty good about the race car on the short run, but just the tail was getting a little happy. It was a little bit loose, and so they worked to tighten that race car up and just send him back on the racetrack. And he wasn't out there maybe 2 laps, maybe 3 laps when the car broke loose. And you guys are right, just looking at a replay here on the NASCAR TV, that right front of that car is absolutely destroyed, as Kyle Busch has really dusted one up and broke one down here today at Iowa.
Yeah, it definitely looks like they showed the in-car camera as well. Looked like he drove down in the corner, it got loose, kind of corrected back to the right, and what happens a lot of times, the weight transfers and the car takes off, and the nose took off dead right. Pretty significant impact with the outer wall.
He took a heck of a shot into the wall, and again, the right front, and matter of fact, the whole front of the car is just used up. The good news is, though, Kyle got out under his own power, took a look at the car. He'll be headed to the care center, but that is not the start to the Iowa racing weekend that Kyle Busch wanted. Had a fast race car, and then all of a sudden things just go south on him as we've got about 9 minutes to go in this practice session.
So, Todd, clearly this looks like this may very well be a backup car scenario for Kyle Busch here. Certainly not going to say it is until the team gets a chance to look at it, but the significant 45-degree angle he hit. Now, these teams bring backup cars to the track, but they don't have an engine in them. They're supposed to put this primary engine in the car, but the big hit that they put here on this car, could that have damaged the engine as well?
It could, and they'll look at what they've got there. They have the option to go to a spare engine that's in one of the Chevrolet team's transporters. Not everybody brings a spare engine, but you're not allowed to bring them. This way, they didn't have to bring 80 race engines to the racetrack. We don't have to bring 80, so we don't have 40 and then 40 more. You've got cars with no engines in them, and everybody from RCR and their affiliated teams can come help them kind of put a backup car back together. It's several hours of work, but they'll have to get the driver stuff particularly right because they probably bring a shared backup between the 8 and the 3 car of Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon.
So what is that pivot formation like when you look at the leaderboard? Hey, we're P2, oh, the car's great, and all of a sudden you're in the fence and you're considering going to a backup car. What's happening in that pit stall right now? What's the ripple effect of what just happened on the racetrack?
I would say that they're working on trying to get the car, the hauler ready that's got the backup car to roll it out. You've seen how significant that impact is. The right front's pushed back, so front clip's done. You don't know where firewall is, places like that. You just don't want to take a chance on it. I got to believe that they're going to this. Let's look back to the Coke 600. Ross Chastain had a situation. They built a backup car. He came from the back and won the Coke 600. They've got a decent notebook. They know what they can work forward from.
Right now, the cleanup continues over in Turn 2, trying to get that battered Cheddar's Chevrolet off the racetrack from the crash here in Group 1 practice. Single lap speeds, here's how they are in the 19 cars to this point.
Tyler Reddick is the fastest of them all. Again, 23.571 seconds, 133.639 miles an hour. Kyle Busch, second. Ross Chastain, third. Austin Dillon, fourth. Ty Dillon in fifth. The significance of that is RCR and RCR-related cars are in the top 5 with Busch, Dillon, both Austin and Ty. Sixth right now, Shane Van Gisbergen. A.J. Allmendinger is seventh with Eric Jones in eighth. Cody Ware, ninth, and Michael McDowell is 10th.
Riley Herbst currently 11th. Daniel Suarez is 12th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is 13th. Noah Gragson 14th. Josh Berry 15th. Joey Logano back in 16th. Cole Custer is 17th. Zane Smith 18th. And Joey Gase is 19th.
Let's check in with Jason Toy, who is down on the pit lane with Chase Elliott.
The Hendrick Motorsports crew is sitting down here. They've been looking over the data as Chase continues to talk with some of the crew down here a little bit too and getting ready to roll out. You guys have all your teammates in the last one with you, so what have you been seeing here in this first segment here before this red flag?
Not a lot of fall off, that's for sure. We were just joking about that, man. It's wild. The Ross was running. Hell, he ran a 23.75 on lap 37, and on lap 14 he ran a 23.78. So hope we qualify well and put ourselves in a good spot. Try to execute a good day, tomorrow. So that all starts here in a minute, and we'll go to work, see what we got.
Take us into the driver's seat. What's it like driving around this track? They call it a short track. It is a very fast one of those.
Yeah, it's not really a short track. Yeah. In my opinion, at least, it's pretty big, and so I remember coming out here a lot, K&N racing, and ran a Pro Cup race here too, I think, a long time ago, and always enjoyed coming out here. It's changed a lot since they redid the asphalt. I thought the racetrack raced a lot differently last year than what I remembered historically, but good to be here, and it's beautiful out here this weekend, man. It's nice to get out of that southeastern heat for a couple days, so can't complain.
All right, one last thing. You're a big Braves guy. Big game at Bristol Motor Speedway tonight, Braves and Reds. You going to be watching this one?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited about it. It should be a treat. I am curious to just kind of hear what people think of Bristol, and we're used to it, right? Yeah. We see it all the time, but I don't think people just realize how big that place is and just what the racetrack itself looks like, and I hope it intrigues some baseball fans enough to want to come back in a month and at least see what we do there too. Hopefully it's a good game. We'll see. Braves they've kind of had a little bit of a rough stretch, but hopefully they can have a good night tonight.
All right, there you go. Chase Elliott, he's concentrating on what he's got going on here, but tonight it'll be all about baseball.
It's the MLB Speedway Classic. This is where the Major League Baseball world and the NASCAR world kind of collide. They have taken the infield of Bristol Motor Speedway and they've converted it into a baseball diamond. The pictures and the artist renderings are spectacular. Alex, 85,000 plus tickets have been sold, making that the largest MLB crowd to sell a baseball game ever in the history of the 100-year history of MLB.
Yeah, it's really cool. If you remember, we put a football field in there not too terribly long ago, played college football in there. The Tennessee Volunteers, the Virginia Tech Hokies, they left the field in there, and some local high school teams played high school football inside the Bristol Motor Speedway as well. With the NASCAR race coming, the Bristol night race, I don't see how we're going to be able to leave the baseball field in there too long.
No, they won't. It's funny, I talked to Jerry Caldwell, the president of Bristol Motor Speedway, earlier this week. He talked about how when the Food City 500 got wrapped up in the spring, like as soon as the haulers exited that race, they started work on the diamond. When that game is over tonight, they will start dismantling that field and all the stands and everything to then start that process of getting it ready for the Bass Pro Shops night race.
They took one of the buildings down inside the racetrack. They took part of the pit wall down, I believe, in order to put this up. They'll get it back up. It's amazing what they've been able to do with the Bristol Motor Speedway, whether it be dirt, whether it be all the things they've done. They don't let anything be a limitation. Awesome to see this. It's going to be fun to get a glimpse of this later tonight.
The NHL commissioner and executives are there on property. Next thing up is they're looking at putting a hockey rink in there and playing a hockey game at Bristol Motor Speedway, which obviously would be pretty cool to do as well. Chase Briscoe patiently waiting to get out on the track. He is standing alongside Jason Toy.
And Alex, I agree with you, too. Put that stadium series at Bristol would be awesome, too. All right, Chase, let's talk a little bit about you guys. Your team is basically all going the second time around. You got a couple of cars from 2311, the same brand as you guys. So have you been able to learn anything from them here on this racetrack on how it is?
I don't know. That's more of a question for the engineers and crew chiefs. I know for me, just watching stuff, it definitely, I was able to do the test here 2 months ago, and it's kind of a totally different racetrack. So just seemed like the same stuff we fought there is kind of the same things that guys are fighting here, though, just being really loose in and whatnot. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to kind of see what it feels like once we get out there, just how different it is from the test. But, yeah, looking forward to getting behind the wheel of our Bass Pro Shops Toyota and seeing what we got this weekend.
Got to imagine when you were here before doing that tire test, a lot more heat than what we got out here this weekend. I know as a driver you're loving the fact temperatures are in the 70s, but how different is this track?
Yeah, it's definitely way different. Even already, I think it's about half a second faster than what we ever even got to at the test. So that, and it's way wider, at the test. We could never even think about coming off that bottom lane, where here we're already kind of in the middle of the racetrack. So, yeah, definitely be different, when we got there, just from a pace standpoint and even the line-wise. So, yeah, be interesting to see what we got. And hopefully, my team did a really good job of getting it right.
All right, there you go. Chase Briscoe is sitting here talking things over with the engineers. And, Todd, I'll throw one other thing for you, too, while we got this red flag opportunity. And listening to the drivers that are parked out here on the pit road right now, including Tyler Reddick, every once in a while they want them to crank the car up and roll it forward just a little bit. What are they hoping to accomplish by doing that while this car sits here?
Well, the one thing that they do by cranking the car is they're just circulating the water, so that the water that's sitting in the engine and getting hot gets out to where the radiator is, so that you're just trying to keep the water circulating through. It's just a quick fire to let the water pump circulate the water, get it in a different position, let it cool down. The other part about rolling is, and this is kind of crazy, but the bottom of the tire gets cold because it's against the concrete. So you're trying to get it so the whole tire circumference cools similarly. That's why you'll continue to roll that around and not create the hot spots in certain different places, whether it be brakes or on the tires.
The devil is in the details, as the saying goes. And those are just some of the details these teams are chasing. And right now, track cleanup continues. After Kyle Busch's crash, if you're just joining us, went off into turn number 1 here in this Group 1 practice. Back into the car, got a little loose. He put some steering input towards the right to try to correct it. Tires gripped up, and he went with the right front corner up against the outside safer barrier and a sledgehammer shot there. Kyle did get out of the car and walked away under his own power, but there's been an awful lot of fluid put down on the racetrack in turns 1 and 2, and cleanup trucks are out there right now just buttoning up that before we can go back under green.
And obviously it's a disappointing set of circumstances for Kyle Busch, but when you look at this first grouping of cars, 19 of them, RCR cars were 2nd and 4th. Now, the Colleague Racing cars have a relationship with, obviously, RCR, and they seem to be going good in the first session. Now, what will the Group 2 cars do? What will they do compared to the Group 1 cars? That's something that we'll obviously be following along together. But RCR was off to a good start. until it went south there in turn 1 for Kyle Busch moments ago.
Kyle Busch had to go to the infield care center for the mandatory checkup, even though he got out of the car under his own power. Steve Post is waiting to get a chat with Kyle Busch here in just a moment, as Kyle has just emerged from the care center down there, right smack dab in the middle of the Iowa Speedway infield. So we'll hear from Kyle here in just a moment with the postman, but not the way they wanted things to go here in practice to get their weekend underway.
Kyle Busch has not led any laps in the last 10. We're waiting for that car to come to life. Of course, he's flying the Cheddar colors this weekend, Cheddar's colors this weekend. And every week we go to the racetrack, we see moments where they think they're gaining on it. But then something happens like this. We commented off the air. That's the year of Kyle Busch right there. You take 2 steps forward, and then all of a sudden you get knocked 4 back. And you're in that seesaw of trying to advance and trying to get better versus dealing with the challenges that come with every trip to the racetrack.
You mentioned he hasn't led a lap in a Cup car in the last 10 consecutive races. That's the longest he's ever gone in his Cup career without leading a lap. Steve Post.
Kyle, the good news is you've walked out of the care center. What were you dealing with and what happened down there in turn number 1?
Yeah, just continuing to work on the trust factor with the back end of the car and, feeling the rear tires, and they were chattering a little bit. Every time I would push it a little bit harder, whether it be entry or exit, and trying to maximize the lap time for grip, or grip for lap time, it would chatter out, So we kept coming in, making changes to that, and I felt really good in 3 and 4 coming to the crash site. Through 3 and 4 was really good, felt sticky. And over-trusted it getting into turn 1 and just swapped ends on me and overcorrected, hit the fence. So hate it for all my guys and everybody on our number 8 Cheddar Chevrolet that they got to work on a backup car to get ready for tomorrow and try to regroup and do it again.
The good news is you've walked out of the care center, though. How violent a hit was that? What was your sense of the hit as far as taking it in the car?
Yeah, when it overcorrected and shot back right, I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. Sorry for the language, but that's literally what it's like. So, just... Oh, well, hate it for the guys. That's not the oh, well factor, but the oh, well factor is that, I'll have to go back at it again tomorrow.
There we go. That's Kyle Busch. The good news is he is out of the care center. Kyle apologized for the language, and we send that along as well. You can tell his frustration, making progress, and now going to a backup car here at Iowa.
He talked about the rear tires chattering. That's probably something that people don't all get a handle on. It's when the tires start to slip. When you feel the edge of the tire, where we all talk about being on the edge of it, the edge of the grip, well, when you get to the point that you get right to the edge of the grip, it starts to slide the tire, then it grips up, then it slides the tire. It kind of gives you a vibration. That's a chatter he's talking about. That's right at the edge of the tires losing all their grip, and as soon as they break loose and past that chatter, it's swapping ends.
Cars are back on the racetrack. 6 minutes and 10 seconds remaining for Group 1 in this practice session. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Motor Racing Network. The NASCAR Cup Series is in Newton, Iowa, at the Iowa Speedway for the Iowa Corn 350 Racing Weekend. Right now, it's all about practice and qualifying. Motor Racing Network on the air with that exercise. Mike Bagley alongside Alex Hayden and Todd Gordon here in the tower. Jason Toy, Steve Post in the pits and the garage areas. If you're just joining us, we've just been slowed by a red flag. Kyle Busch just took a sledgehammer shot into the outside wall. We'll have to go to a backup car. Kyle is okay. He has just stepped from the care center. Tyler Reddick is fastest. Kyle Busch, second overall with that wrecked race car and all. Put that lap in before he crashed and won. Ross Chastain, Austin Dillon, Ty Dillon, the top 5 fast cars in single lap speeds here with just about 5 minutes remaining.
Of the 19 cars here in Group 1, 7 of them are Ford Mustang dark horses. The fastest of the Fords right now is only 9th overall, and that is Cody Ware. The rest of the Fords are at the very bottom, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th, including Noah Gragson, Josh Berry, Joey Logano, Cole Custer, Zane Smith, and Joey Gase. Todd, can you make any sense out of that whatsoever?
To me, we've got new tires here. I feel like somebody's got to be off on a tire question here. When you look at a group being like this, you got 6 of your 7 cars, the bottom 6 cars. To me, the first thing I'd think about, where are we on tire settings? Air pressures, cambers. Did our data lead us down the wrong direction? Because to see the guys, and you look at this, Josh Berry, Joey Logano, Cole Custer, Zane Smith, these are guys that should be able to find speed. Noah Gragson, and all be back there. I would look for something in the tire data that Ford has put forward into being an issue for these guys.
So let's go back to your crew chiefing days, right? We're going back to Iowa for the second time. Last year we raced at night. We're going to race in the day on Sunday. You come back to a track that's been patched. There's been some give up. There's been some aging of that, but you got a brand new tire. Where do you start with the setup of the race car?
Well, you look at the tire test that you did, but you came out here. We heard Chase Briscoe talk about it earlier, the fact that at the tire test, because he was part of it, I think Austin Cindric was as well for Team Penske, but they were a half a second slower than this at the tire test. A lot of elevated temperatures, and really if you look at where people are making speed right now, it's in the second groove, not a place that they had been around. I think maybe too reliant on the data that came out of the tire test and maybe set yourself in a wrong position. I've been down this. We went to Michigan one year. All of the Team Penske cars were, we call it on the right side of the board. We were in the high 20s, low 30s for where we were on speed. We got a new tire. We figured it out that we went to the wrong pressures. We came in a whole different direction, all made ourselves to top 10 the next day.
That's a NASCAR Cup Series winning crew chief, Todd Gordon. He's won the Daytona 500 as a crew chief and a ton of races. So, you know, it is a matter now of you got to go back to the drawing board and just kind of start over. So how do you do that, Todd? Where do you start now if you think you've pinpointed the fact that you're off just a bit on the tire part of it?
I think you're having hard discussions at a corporate level about where you can be, especially Team Penske, knowing that they've got two cars in the second group with Ryan Blaney and Austin Cindric that will be out there. Try something different. Obviously, you came here with what you thought was good. It's not shown speed. Trying to decipher what you can out of this practice to build maybe another direction for the second practice. Maybe you split those two cars in directions of what you can do air pressure-wise to try to get a data point to set you up for the race better.
On the racetrack right now, we've got less than 3 minutes to go in this practice session. Tyler Reddick continues to be the fastest car. Looking at the 5, the 10, the 15 lap averages, Ross Chastain, Trackhouse Racing, and that Busch Light Chevrolet, fastest of everybody as far as that is concerned. Now, these are just the Group 1 cars who you can argue been doing a lot of heavy lifting, rubbering in the racetrack and getting some of the Xfinity Series rubber up there, some of the Arkham and Art Series General Tire rubber up there, and I'm sure that there's some Firestone rubber out there as well from the Indy race a couple of weeks ago. They're working through all that right now. If I'm a driver trying to race on Sunday, I want to be in Group 2. Let these cars do the heavy lifting. The biggest question, Alex, is what will be the differentiator and how faster will those Group 2 cars be when they take to the racetrack in about 11 minutes from now?
And one thing I will pay attention to is, will any of the Group 2 cars even start off on the bottom of the racetrack? Because right now, just about everybody is running that second lane off the bottom, if you will. So if you kind of think about it in driving down the freeway, say it's a 6-lane freeway, drivers left all the way across to the right, well, you've got a good 5 or 6 lanes wide of racetrack. But the newer pavement in the corners is only the bottom 2 lanes, maybe 2.5 lanes, and that's about it. And that's where the majority of the grip, at least, is at the moment. And specifically now that we've gotten more Goodyear rubber laid down, the fastest way is in that second lane up off of the bottom of the racetrack. So that'll be one thing I'll pay attention to when the Group 2 cars go out on the speedway.
And that'll be in about 11 minutes from now. We've got less than 30 seconds remaining in this practice session. Every driver now on the racetrack beginning to come in off of the racetrack. They're going to pull into their pit stalls. You got a handful of drivers that are trying to get that last lap, maybe last lap or two to wind this down. We'll take a pause, we'll take a breath, and then those Group 2 cars that we mentioned. A couple of standouts there of the Group 2 cars. All of the Roush Fenway Keselowski cars will be in there, and also all of the Hendrick cars will be in those Group 2 cars as well.
Right now in the final 5 seconds of practice, drivers are getting the opportunity to practice slamming on the brakes and getting to pit lane here at Iowa Speedway. Coming to pit road here, if we have to do it under the green flag, can be a bit tricky. It's already a bit of a worn-out surface down there, but you basically got to hit the brakes right in the middle of the turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, you do, and you hope to stay on the banking to carry some more speed to that, but that puts you vulnerable to traffic that's coming up under green flag, and then the transition, making it to that commitment box. That's a hard turn off the banking. It's not onto the straightaway. It's still, I would say, middle of turn 4 that you've got to get on the flat.
Joey Logano just did it. Also, Zane Smith just did it. And they are the final 2 cars to leave the racetrack as the black and red flags are flying, indicating the end of Group 1 practice. From Iowa Speedway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Every time the siren sounds or lights flash, someone's life is on the line. At Whelen Engineering, we know first responders carry that weight every day. That's why for over 70 years, we've led the emergency warning industry, designing and manufacturing the lights, sirens, and safety systems they trust right here in America. Because when the mission is critical, there's no room for second best. Whelen Engineering, trusted to protect first responders.
Hello?
Hey, it's your man tank again. I just talked to the taste buds. We're all worried about you, Tim.
What do you mean? I love eating veggies. The crunch, I've never felt better.
You sure?
I think so.
You're really sure?
Yeah, man. Seriously.
You're not doing this to me, Tim. You're doing this to us. Just rip open some jerky, all right? Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Official meat snack of NASCAR. Feed your wild side.
Back at Iowa Speedway, Group 1 cars have just practiced for the Iowa Corn 350. Right now, the drivers that are in Group 2 are getting prepared to take their 25-minute turn around the 7/8 of a mile Iowa Speedway.
Drivers in Group 2 set to go will be Ty Gibbs, Justin Haley, Austin Cindric, Chase Briscoe, John Hunter Nemechek, Carson Hocevar, Chris Buescher, Todd Gilliland, and William Byron.
Brad Keselowski's also in this group. Chase Elliott is as well, along with Alex Bowman, and Priest, Ryan Blaney, Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Larson. All of those drivers are getting set to go for their 25-minute practice session. We got a lot of heavy hitters here in Group 2.
Yeah, we do. It's going to be an interesting practice as we wait for them to get out on the speedway. Of course, once we wrap up here at Iowa Speedway, it is off to the upstate part of the state of New York and the Finger Lakes region in Watkins Glen International. One of the best road courses we go to. You can call it a charter road course almost, if you will. It's been around in the NASCAR Cup Series for a long, long time. Not far from your home there, Todd, where you grew up, but racing at Watkins Glen never disappoints.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. If you think back to the race we had last year, Chris Buescher ended up moving past Shane Van Gisbergen last lap to take the victory there. That was a playoff race then. It'd be interesting to see how all these drivers stack up this time. We can talk about Shane Van Gisbergen, but there's so many other players when we get to Watkins Glen. A different type. This is like the super speedway of road course races when you think about this place. Lots of high-speed places, a really spectacular event and venue. Camping there is spectacular.
Oh, camping is incredible. That is the OG of road courses. Came online back in 1986. Tim Richmond took the first checkered flag there. Over the years, we've seen many drivers take to it, and we've also seen drivers that have not taken to it. You put all that in the soup, and it's quite a tasty recipe. If you've not made your plans to join us at Watkins Glen, do so. Weather should be great. It's always a fun time spent in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. Seneca Lake, right outside of the racetrack. So when you get done at the track, you got time to mill through, go to Corning or go to some of these other little villages that are up and down the lake. It's a fantastic weekend.
And all the mom and pop wineries along the Finger Lakes,
yes.
That's a fabulous visit for everybody else as long as you're there. Tons to do there in Watkins Glen area.
Yeah, but they say sometimes don't go chasing waterfalls, but I highly recommend chasing waterfalls around the Finger Lakes region. There are plenty of waterfalls and nature out there.
I believe Menominee Falls is not too far away. We've also got, if you go to Ithaca, little Montour Falls. I mean, you got a lot of beautiful little villages right there. Go to theglen.com to get your tickets. Of course, if you can't make it to the racetrack, you can hear it here on the Motor Racing Network. From Iowa Speedway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
You've never been one to idly watch someone else do something for you. There's pride in self-reliance, in working with your hands, in harnessing the power of an E3 spark plug with Diamond Fire technology, yielding better engine performance. You have a choice to make. Take control of your ride, of your life, or be the passenger princess of it. Visit E3sparkplugs.com to put the power in your hands.
Looking for weekly motorsports podcasts to stay up to date on what's happening on and off the track? The Motor Racing Network is the place. Hear from NASCAR crew chiefs on MRN Crew Call. All the happenings from regional touring series and local tracks on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Sprint Car Talk on Winged Nation. NASCAR history on MRN Classic Races. And hear from the drivers on NASCAR Live. MRN podcasts available on MRN.com, YouTube, or your favorite podcast platform.
Back at Iowa Speedway, getting ready for practice and qualifying for Group 2 cars for the Iowa Corn 350. Of course, later this afternoon, Motor Racing Network will be on the air 4 p.m. Eastern Time with NASCAR Xfinity Series racing in the Hy-Vee Perks 250.
And then tomorrow, it is the Iowa Corn 350, powered by ethanol, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the Motor Racing Network airtime. Back to pit lane, Steve Post.
Ross Chastain down here, chatting it up with some crew guys and other folks. Ross, number 3 on the scoring pylon in single lap, but number 1 on the pylon with long run speeds. What's your take? How good is your race car?
Yeah, it is that good, Postman, on the long run. Fast lap, it's loose in general, so it's hard to go and truly commit on entry. Mainly, I'm lifting earlier than I could if I had more rear grip on corner entry on the old asphalt. So for this Iowa Speedway, our Busch Light Chevy, the old asphalt has 0 grip, and then you get to the corner and you finally get to the new asphalt, and although it's lightened up in color, it hasn't lost a lot of grip. So I could have done what the 8 did there and crashed. It's close. It's really, really close, and I've done that. I did it at Dover 2 weeks ago. So yeah, not sure how much I should be dealing with on that, but I definitely don't want to be tight in the rest of the corner. So it's up to Phil Surgeon now to make a little more rear grip on entry, but keep it turning in the center. I think that's where our long run speed came from.
All of your Trackhouse guys, you were all in Group 1. What do you do? Who do you watch? What types of things do you look at here in Group 2 to see how this track is transitioning?
Yeah, definitely not the way we want it. We don't want to be setting ourselves in the metric, bad finishes, and then being in this first group, but we'll just have to look to our Chevy teammates. So the other key partner Chevy teams, we'll see what they feel, and our group can see their springs and shocks and all that, and we'll see if they're at least close to us. I have no idea. I don't even know what springs are in my car. I just tell them how it feels and work on being the best driver I can be. And if anybody on the other Chevy teams are close to us, we'll be able to apply something now that we've laid down the cup rubber after we laid down all the Xfinity rubber this morning.
Yeah, there we go. All kinds of challenges here. That's Ross Chastain. Going to wait and watch and see what happens before his qualifying run here in just a little bit.
We'll have that coming up shortly from Iowa Speedway. This is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options now available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10, $20, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-375-3232. 800-375-3232. That's 800-375-3232. National Debt Relief, the official debt relief partner of NASCAR.
Back here at Iowa Speedway as we're getting set for the Group 2 cars to pull out on the racetrack. Should take place any moment. Shannon Bednarik is the chief starter for the NASCAR Cup Series here this weekend at Iowa Speedway. She's got the green flag in her right hand, just simply waiting for thumbs up from race control to put it in the air.
So we got 4 races to go in the regular season here in the NASCAR Cup Series, and the playoff conversation is a good one. And you got a couple of different conversations that we'll be having with you over the weekend. First of all, we'll take the top 16 drivers and we will put them into the playoffs, beginning with the Cookout Southern 500 at Darlington Raceway. 13 drivers are locked in. There are 3 that are in on points as of now. They are Tyler Reddick, who's in by 138. Alex Bowman is in by 63. Chris Buescher is in by 42. First driver below the cut line is Ryan Preece, out by 42. It's going to be a month of sweating, I think, for those drivers that are bubbled up around that cut line, and I believe that it's going to be a very tense 4-week stretch.
Ryan Preece, you mentioned him. He's the first one on the outside looking in, but Todd, they feel like they got some pretty good racetracks here before we get to the playoffs. They may be able to get a win and not even have to worry about points.
Yeah, we talked to Derek Finley today in the garage area and really looked at it. Ryan Preece, a great short track racer. Gotta love their opportunities coming here, going to Richmond with him, and you know, they've really outperformed. They've done a great job on road courses. So there's so many pieces. And oh, by the way, they drive a Ford going to Daytona. But there's 8 guys that have won speedway races below the cut line. So we all have to think about it. So Jason, Toy, what you got?
Tyler Reddick is the fastest in that single lap run speed out there as he talks to his crew here for a second. And all right, you had the fastest on single lap run. How about the long run? Did you guys get it figured out?
Oh, yeah. It's dialed in, that's for sure. Yeah, it's a bit of a handful. You saw that, like with the 8. A couple guys getting out of shape, but yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with our McDonald's Toyota Camry. I knew we were really good here a year ago. We just kind of got off track going into the race with tire durability concerns. But yeah, the car was amazing there. We were able to make some adjustments on it to see that could help us going into practice, and overall, very happy right now.
All right, there you go. Tyler Reddick getting back at it here. Happy with the car. They're looking for a little bit of that long run speed. They get ready to race here tomorrow.
Tyler Reddick turned in a 23.571 second lap, 133.639 miles per hour. That is the mark that everyone is shooting for. And this group that has just popped onto the racetrack, we're starting to see some drivers begin to bubble up the leaderboard. Of those that have just entered the racetrack, we've got Austin Cindric, the fastest Ford, up to P9. You got the Spire Motorsports Chevrolets that have just cracked the top 20. But as these laps begin to click off, we're starting to see other names beginning to bubble up to the surface.
Second, Austin Cindric has just gone to number 2 on the board. William Byron has gone to 7th. Denny Hamlin is to 10th. Defending winner of the race, Ryan Blaney, now in the 11th spot. Todd, as you watch these opening laps for Group 2 cars, anything jumping out at you here?
Yeah, the fact that we've got a Ford in Austin Cindric at P2 right now, we talked about how weak they were in the first one. The notes out of the first session seem like it's worked out for Team Penske. Ryan Blaney joining them up there, P3 at this point. So finding some speed, figuring out what they needed out of their teammates.
So we talked about Reddick at a 23.571. Cindric and Blaney, 23, 623, and 652, and that was in the 4th and 5th laps. It took Tyler Reddick longer than that to turn in that fast lap. I would say that these Group 2 cars are immediately at it and off to a great start.
And they should be, because the racetrack's been conditioned by the Group 1 cars. It's always, you hear these drivers always talk about the metric and what separates the guys that are in Group 1. They had worse finishes. They're in worse points positions. The total accumulation of that puts them in the worst practice session. Here we are. This is the one that's most realistic to what the race is, and these guys are using it up, using the notes that they got from their teammates in the first session.
Another Ford has gone to the top 10. Brad Keselowski now is up to the 9th spot. Now what's interesting, with every car getting laps in, the only Toyota in the top 10 is the driver who was the fastest. I say was because Tyler Reddick is no longer the quickest.
Kyle Larson has just turned in the fastest lap for Hendrick Motorsports. He did it on his 7th lap, 23.568. That's 133.656 miles per hour. But given the prowess of Hendrick Motorsports, given the prowess of Kyle Larson, not surprising that he's turned in some quick speed here in this practice session.
Not at all, as this Group 2 bunch has really begun to take over the top 10 in single lap speeds. Larson is the quickest. Tyler Reddick is second fastest. Reddick, out of Group 1, is the only Group 1 competitor still left currently inside the top 10.
Oh, Larson has a major slip in the middle of 3 and 4. Matter of fact, he was headed to the outside wall. Alex Bowman gobbled him up pretty quick, and he had to jump on the binders, Bowman did, to prevent from collecting Kyle Larson. We've seen that with some drivers sending it off into turn number 3 and sliding and washing up the racetrack. They've been able to hang on to those race cars, but that was a close moment there for Kyle Larson, who immediately brings that HendrickCars.com Chevrolet back to the bottom of the racetrack after setting the fastest lap.
He'll get right back down there as the leaderboard shuffles up a little more. Christopher Bell has gone to the top of the leaderboard, defending Brickyard 400 champion now. Bubba Wallace is up to second quick, and momentum is certainly on that team's side. You got to think, after breaking through not only with a win in the NASCAR Cup Series, Mike, but a crown jewel win at that, the next race on the schedule couldn't get here quick enough.
Yeah, Bubba Wallace did a great job last week. 23-11 racing, obviously getting locked into the playoffs, and of course the countdown has begun. Of course, Steve Post telling us earlier that Bubba's all about trying to get things buttoned up. They got a month to do it because they want to come into the playoffs strong. They don't want to come into the playoffs in a lackluster posture, if you were. But right now on the racetrack, it's all about Joe Gibbs Racing and 23-11 Racing. Not talked about Denny Hamlin yet. He is up to 8th quickest on the leaderboard. Just watching him go around the racetrack, he's just gotten by Kyle Larson. Now he's just put the pass on Alex Bowman.
Yeah, as they continue to work their way around the racetrack, Ryan Blaney won this race a year ago in the inaugural NASCAR Cup Series race here in the Iowa Corn 350, powered by ethanol. Steve Post, what are they saying here after his opening handful of laps?
It's not good what they're saying, that's at all, and I was kind of surprised because I was listening to the radio and not much was said. You guys were talking about the way lap after lap he was climbing the leaderboard. All of a sudden, Ryan just cued the radio and said, I'm going to wreck. I'm coming to you guys. And talking with Jonathan Hassler and the crew down here, the car is just very, very loose, and he just felt uncomfortable with it at this point. So they brought the blue Ford Mustang Wabash colors on it, and they're going to work on tightening that race car up. So while it looked good for a while on the speed charts, you got to rely on driver comfort, and Ryan Blaney felt like he was putting himself in a dangerous spot, and he has brought it down for an adjustment.
And I watched this as we were out there. Ryan Blaney was leading Austin Cindric, his teammate, as they were kind of climbing up the board. Austin Cindric was really able to make a lot of racetrack on him on corner entry. Really looked like Ryan was having to back his entries up and be a little cautious there.
Fastest car, Christopher Bell, had a big moment off turn 4. Bell is now well off the pace on the back straightaway. You know what's interesting is some of these teams went out, ran a handful of laps, and went straight back to the pit lane, one of them being Chase Briscoe, Mr. Qualifying here in 2025. Briscoe, 23rd on the leaderboard, only ran 8 laps, and he took his car straight back to pit lane. He's been there for the better part of the last 3 to 4 minutes.
So while Chase Briscoe is his hood's up on the pit lane, we talked about Christopher Bell. Bell now brings the car down to pit lane. Let's get an update there.
The biggest thing for him, he talked about the moment that he had in turn 4. 2 laps before that, he had a big moment in turns 1 and 2 where the back end just wanted to kick out on him as he started to put the throttle back down. So they're going to come in, make the adjustment for him, try to tighten him up just a little bit. Don't want to change too much because they have a very fast Toyota right now, but they want to get back out and work on the long run speed. Talk about Chase Briscoe, same situation. A little way too loose. They want to make the adjustment. He's going back out right now.
William Byron, even though he is 3rd on the single lap speed charts, Todd Gordon, that doesn't necessarily tell the whole story on that team.
P1 on 5-lap, 10-lap, and 15-lap average as he's going along. Really putting it out there. A lot of consistent pace out of William Byron this 2014.
Right now, William Byron comes across the start-finish line, and William Byron will complete his 12th lap of this practice session. Again, if you're just joining us, Christopher Bell is fastest, Bubba Wallace is 2nd, Byron 3rd, Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick running out the top 5. The top 4 are all from this group. Tyler Reddick's fast lap was from group number 1. You got Chase Elliott 6th, Alex Bowman in 7th, Denny Hamlin in 8th, Austin Cindric 9th, and Brad Keselowski. A lot of speed out of his Ford Mustang. He is posted in the 10th position.
Chase Elliott is one I've looked at. He's 2nd quick on the 15 consecutive lap average, even though he's top 10, back half top 10, I should say, on single lap speeds, Todd.
And to me, I just looked at it. Chase Elliott, 20th lap, a 23.67. That's within a tenth of his fastest lap. Actually was only 3rd at 10 laps, so that means his 10 to 15th lap were actually really good, putting long run speed together.
So on the racetrack right now, we've got 15 minutes and 38 seconds remaining. We're watching Chase Elliott come off the end of the back straightaway. Chase taking that second lane off the corner. William Byron going just a tad higher. And it would seem like that's where the speed is. Everybody's migrated to the second lane up from the bottom of the racetrack. And right now, everybody's just trying to get all the speed that they can, because at the end of this practice session, we're going to qualify. And when we do, everybody will get 2 laps of qualifying, and then we'll set the starting lineup for the Iowa Corn 350.
Qualifying, I think, is going to be very entertaining and quite interesting, because so many drivers are talking about how loose they are, instability with the back end of their race cars, and it doesn't matter which manufacturer it has been. There's been a lot of drivers mentioning that. That being said, in qualifying, Mike, you got to get all you can get out of your race car, get to that fine line without causing yourself a problem out there on the race course.
Yeah, and you don't want to do as what Todd mentioned as jumping the cushion or putting the car in a precarious position, Steve Post.
Exactly, and you just talked about it. I just heard you guys talking about how the loose race car, and listening to Ryan Preece, he's just brought the Mohawk International car into the attention of Derek Finley and the crew, and listening to him describe it as like he's on a tightrope. When he eases the car in, he's pretty good. When he tries to hustle the car in, the minute he touches the brake, the rear wheels start almost chattering on the race car, and so it is that loose condition. It is that. It's not the loose condition. It's the borderline loose condition, and that tightrope they're walking right now. One lap you're really close to it. One lap you step over the edge of it. One lap, if you're running the second groove, you might even jump the cushion. So it is really, really a tightrope that they're walking. And Ryan Preece and Derek Finley made the decision to bring the car down. They've made one minor adjustment up onto the front of it. They're making an air pressure adjustment on the tires as well to go out and see if they can give him just a little bit more stability over the variety of ways that you run this racetrack.
Practice continues to roll on here as we get set for the Iowa Corn 350, powered by ethanol. Practice and pole qualifying from Iowa Speedway is brought to you on MRN by E3 Spark Plugs. Stuck in slow motion? Unleash the NASCAR fire inside your engine with E3 Spark Plugs. Forget pit stops too. E3 gives you maximum fuel efficiency for more miles on the road and less time at the pump. E3 Spark Plugs, power, speed, domination. Get yours today. From Iowa Speedway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Hello?
Hey, it's your man tank again. I just talked to the taste buds. We're all worried about you, Tim.
What do you mean? I love eating veggies. The crunch, I've never felt better.
You sure?
I think so.
You're really sure?
Yeah, man. Seriously.
You're not doing this to me, Tim. You're doing this to us. Just rip open some jerky, all right? Jack Link's Beef Jerky, official meat snack of NASCAR. Feed your wild side.
80 million listeners depend on AM radio to always be on, delivering news, sports, talk, traffic, and weather reports you can trust. AM radio also delivers vital emergency information when you need it most. Text AM to 39179. Tell Congress to pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act to keep AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Back here at Iowa Speedway, practice for group number 2 ongoing. Christopher Bell is the quickest, but Todd Gordon, he's been loose a couple of times. He's only run 15 total laps, but one of them has been the fastest. Those Joe Gibbs team cars, Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin, they're also able to run 3 and 4 laps consecutively pretty good, but they all have had big moments on the racetrack.
Yeah, and Chase Briscoe just jumped to P3 with a 23.546 second lap. I want to see where they can get a long run. It seems like they got short run speed, but everybody's complaining about loose, especially getting to the grip patch here. Got to see whether they can build a long run speed on that.
Fastest car again on the single lap speed is Christopher Bell, but Jason Toy on the longer averages, it's William Byron.
And that's one of the things, talking to Rudy Fugel, his crew chief, before they went out, I said, what are you looking for? He wants to see how the longevity goes with the race car. They're very pleased with the way that it is running right now, especially on that long run, which we'll tend to get here at the Iowa Speedway. The one thing that they had a concern about, and this was the call by the driver, he complained from the start, from the first 2 laps until he brought it in some 20-plus laps in, that his brake pedal was very, very soft. Matter of fact, he was having to push all the way down with his tippy toes to get the brake to engage in there. So they brought him back down, not to adjust much on the race car, but to adjust the brakes a little bit because it's way too soft for the driver's comfort.
That's the report there for William Byron. Brakes certainly a necessity here, even though it is technically a short track at under a mile in length. Has all the characteristics with speed and some handling of an intermediate track.
Yeah, Todd, break that down for us, because we're sitting and we're looking at a track that looks like Richmond Raceway in Virginia. It's larger, it's 7/8 of a mile, where Richmond is a half mile. But we hear drivers saying it's like an intermediate track. Actually, Richmond is 3/4 of a mile compared to the 7/8 that we're running here this weekend. So why does this track... Oh, Larson's almost up in the wall. What is going on here? Cars are slipping and sliding all over the place. More on that in a moment. Let's go back to the comparisons and why this drives like an intermediate track.
The corners here are bigger and sweeping, more sweeping. And your center corner speed, because of that, you carry more speed here. So aerodynamics have a bigger impact in this place. When you think about Richmond, it's just a little bit smaller than this, but the corner radiuses seem like they're tighter. And that means you have to slow down more. It's more brake into the corner. It's more kind of pivoting in the center of the corner and then driving off. Where the radius being a little more opened up here, you can roll more momentum through here, and aerodynamics play a bigger deal. So putting a little more tape on those brake ducts is an advantage to you here. That's something you're going to end up... when I'm thinking about hearing soft pedals, having cooling to the brakes, that's something that gives up a little aerodynamics, but you've got to find that balance of having enough cooling to keep them firm with the pedal.
You carry so much speed down these straightaways, and then you got to get on those brakes, Mike, to get in the corners. Your car can just overshoot it sometimes. Sometimes you're a little late getting on the brake, and I think that's what we've seen with a handful of these drivers.
Most recently, Kyle Larson, a moment ago, talked about sliding up from the bottom of the racetrack. Of course, you dive off into these corners, and you're carrying a full head of steam, but you're also still trying to learn your balance of the race car and learn how the tires are going to interact. Steve Post?
Exactly, and it's a real Rubik's Cube they're putting together here. You're right, talking about the race car, and Austin Cindric just backed his car back into the pit box. They're going to make one minor adjustment because they made one small adjustment, and the car, he said, just entering the corner, he cannot get down in the corner, and it flattens out. Well, the problem is, or where this is putting together is, right now the groove on the racetrack is right up on the outside edge of that new pavement. I think Todd Gordon absolutely nailed it earlier in the practice session when he said Tyler Reddick jumped the cushion. The fast way is right now right on that cushion or on that outside layer, but boy, if you get 6 inches or a foot wider, you are hanging on. We've seen Kyle Larson, we've seen Denny Hamlin, and we've seen others just lose the full handle on the race car. So it is a balancing act with your race car to get the right balance on the car, to be able to be right in the right spot on the outside of that new patch of asphalt in the corners. And boy, when you tiptoe over the edge of it, you're along for the ride. It's fascinating to listen to the discussions down here as they try to find that edge and try to find that perfect balance on each of these race cars.
And for those of you listening, when you look at the corners here, think about the radius part of the corners. There's 4 paving lanes that they put in here. The bottom 2 got repaved last year, so there's grip there. The problem is the preferred groove right now is on that second groove up. So you're right up there on the edge of that. If you overshoot that, you're going to end up on the old asphalt. There's a lot less grip there. And you have to make the turn into the corner on the old asphalt. So it's like you're holding your breath, getting to that, hoping when you get to that newer asphalt, it kind of grips up and brings your balance back to you.
Which presents a set of challenges into itself, because a lot of people wondered, why did they only pave just the lower 2 lanes and only in the corners? Well, we're seeing now it's presenting all kinds of challenges, and it's unique.
We love it when they have challenges. We shouldn't make these cars easy for these drivers to drive. We want them to be challenged. We want to see them make mistakes. So as we're going along, they're really having to figure out the balance. If you made the car tight enough to be secure on entry, it's not going to carry the speed through the middle of the corner because it's going to be too tight to really rotate the corner. So it's a give and take here, and we get to see the drivers kind of overcome the challenges.
Well, to your point, just watching Denny Hamlin work his way around the racetrack, came up turn 4 a moment ago, and he's wearing white gloves, and you're seeing those hands back and forth, back and forth. Right now, Denny on the leaderboard is 10th. When he goes off into the corner, it looks like the car takes a good set, and then all of a sudden that's when the sawing back and forth of the steering wheel is taking place.
It is just a unique racetrack. Of course, this track was designed by NASCAR Hall of Famer Rusty Wallace, and one of the other things that's really unique to this racetrack, unlike any other track we race at, yes, it has a safer barrier all the way around the outside of it. But what's different compared to any other oval track, every other oval track has a concrete wall and then the safer barrier on the inside of it. Here at Iowa Speedway, there is no concrete wall. It's just safer barrier. That's the only retaining wall that we have.
Yeah, if you look at it, all the other racetracks that had concrete walls, they got retrofitted, so the safer barrier got attached to the concrete wall. Here they built the racetrack with a safer barrier in mind. There are steel reinforcements behind all of the foam triangles that support the steel outer wall, and that way they didn't have to put the concrete back behind it. It is a different visual look, but it accomplishes the same thing.
Right now on the racetrack, Christopher Bell is the fastest driver of them all. 23.511 seconds, 133.980 miles an hour. And Christopher Bell made some news about an hour ago. In case you missed it earlier this week, Stuart Friesen had a hard crash in Canada in his dirt super modified car. He basically cartwheeled, went end over end, had a compound fracture of his right leg, and broke his pelvis in 3 places. He's been transported back to the States. He has had the surgeries that he has needed to have. He's much comfortable. Matter of fact, he sent a tweet out earlier this morning, but he has got a long road to recovery, which he was qualified for the playoffs by winning at Michigan. And the question is, who's going to drive that truck going forward? Christopher Bell will drive Stuart Friesen's truck this coming weekend at Watkins Glen, or next weekend at Watkins Glen, with future races to be named later, or drivers to be named later for those races. But C. Bell going to be returning to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series next weekend at the Glen.
And we are yet to hear if Stuart Friesen's going to apply for a waiver. We don't anticipate he's going to be able to come back and drive. However, talking with some of the NASCAR officials earlier today, he still has to apply for a waiver or withdraw. Until any of that happens, he is still currently a playoff driver in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Now, they are going to continue to run that truck because with that win, that truck is in the Owners' Championship battle, and that means there's a lot of money on the line at season's end. So, yeah, so for next week at least, Christopher Bell will be behind the wheel, that Hallmark Friesen entry.
Right now, we have 3 minutes and 15 seconds left in Group 2 practice for the Iowa Corn 350. Christopher Bell, Bubba Wallace, Chase Briscoe, William Byron, and Kyle Larson are the top 5 drivers.
Running in 5th as far as the fast single-lap speed, you've got Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman 7th, Brad Keselowski 8th, Chase Elliott 9th, and Denny Hamlin rounds out the top 10. Now, Chase Elliott just came to pit lane. He has run the most laps of anybody today in practice. He ran 51 consecutive laps, trying to get a good idea and a good handling on that Chevrolet. Getting ready as we have qualifying coming up next.
And we interviewed him earlier in the show, and he talked about we've got to have good execution. We've got to get qualified well, put ourselves in position. Looks like they've got great pace, he and Alan Gustafson in that 9 car here.
Chase Elliott, the points leader, coming in, a part of a storyline that only 4 drivers are in, and that's the regular season championship. 4 races to go, 4 drivers separated by 20 points. 3/4 of the Hendrick drivers are in that conversation, and they, of course, are Chase, William Byron, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, the 4th, that are separated by 20 points with 4 races to go in the regular season. Of course, the big thing right there, you get the accolade of winning the regular season championship, but if you do win it, you get an extra 15 playoff point bonus by winning it.
Yeah, the separation from first to second is a full 5 bonus points. It goes 15, 10, 8, and then single digits beyond that. In the points positions, that's like winning a race over finishing second. It's like winning 3 races over not making the top 10. So a big bonus that these guys are all in pursuit of. Denny Hamlin, 20 points behind it after missing Mexico City for the birth of his child. Impressive the run that he and Chris Gale have been on.
It really has been, as they've been able to really execute well here over the summer stretch. You know, Mike, we had a chance to spend quite a bit of time this morning with Kyle Larson's crew chief, Cliff Daniels. Asked him point blank, hey, you guys are racing your own teammates for those bonus points. To be regular season champion, what's the dynamic like with that race team? And Cliff gave some very poignant answers.
He did. The biggest takeaway from that, we also talked to Rudy Fugel, William Byron's crew chief. They've not been given any marching orders. Right now, it's go out, win races, do your thing. There's none of this, now you've got to take care of this one or you got to lay back for that one. The marching orders is go lead laps, go win races, and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, so yes, they are still sharing information. They're still doing all the things that a four-car team does, but they're also out there race for themselves to try to accomplish what they can accomplish. There's a lot of bonus money on the line for the crew members as well if you win the regular season championship. Of course, you get bonus money for winning races as well. So it is going to be fun to watch the battle for the regular season championship continue to wind down.
One of the things that Cliff impressed upon us, you basically want everything cleaned up. Right? You don't want to make mistakes. You want to make sure that the cars are right, that you're making good decisions on the racetrack. But most importantly, you're executing on the pit lane. How many times have we seen a driver dominate a race, come down for the final pit stop, pit road speeding penalty, loose wheel, things of that nature, a slow pit stop. That's the last thing you want to do. The effort right there for not only the 5-car, the 24-car and whatnot, but to make sure everything is buttoned up so you can have a flawless playoff run or as much of a flawless playoff run as possible.
Practice is officially over for the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol. Christopher Bell ends up with the fastest single lap speed. William Byron had the fastest consecutive lap average. His car was solid over the longer green flag run. Qualifying will be coming up, and we'll do that shortly. From Iowa Speedway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Every time the siren sounds or lights flash, someone's life is on the line. At Whelen Engineering, we know first responders carry that weight every day. That's why for over 70 years, we've led the emergency warning industry, designing and manufacturing the lights, sirens, and safety systems they trust right here in America. Because when the mission is critical, there's no room for second best. Whelen Engineering, trusted to protect first responders.
Ready to rev your engines, NASCAR fans? The thrill, the speed, the action. You can now experience it all for free on the NASCAR channel on Tubi. All-day access to NASCAR action, streaming classic moments, iconic rivalries, and behind-the-scenes stories from the greatest drivers. Best of all, it's completely free. Stream anytime, anywhere on your favorite fast platform. No fees, no strings, just NASCAR. Find the NASCAR channel on your streaming device and start watching today.
We welcome you back to Iowa Speedway. Practice for the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol is complete. Qualifying will be up next. Of course, don't forget we've got NASCAR Xfinity Series racing from here at Iowa Speedway. That will happen at 4 o'clock Eastern Time in the Hy-Vee Perks 250. After that, tomorrow, it is the NASCAR Cup Series, Iowa Corn 350, powered by ethanol, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. NASCAR Live Race Day will be on the air, getting you set for a big day of NASCAR Cup Series racing from America's Heartland tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show as we continue the day. We've got a lot of guys down here that have had different balance issues. I was impressed. I'm just going to take it back, but Kyle Larson ran 39 laps straight. Finished with really good average, I felt like, but we'll see where that goes. A guy that had a great run here last year, Steve's got him down there, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Yeah, it was a fifth-place run last year, and, of course, Ricky, a lot of success here in the Xfinity Series back in the day. So, first and foremost, Ricky, it's got to be really cool for you to come back to Iowa Speedway. You've had a lot of good memories here.
A lot of good memories, for sure. Had some bad ones, but we try to forget, but it's always good to be here in our NOS Energy Drink Camaro. Man, this tire's thrown us for a loop. We're really, really loose there in practice, and not cutting across the center is as good as what we want. So got some adjustments to make going into tomorrow. Hopefully we made a little bit better adjustments for qualifying here. But yeah, a lot of good memories for sure.
A lot of good memories. Hopefully maybe make another good one tomorrow, right?
I hope so.
There we go. That's Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and you talked about that. That fifth-place run last year. What a great run it has been for Ricky, and we'll see. As he said, they've got a challenge here that they're going to have to work through. But with Ricky and Mike Kelly calling the shots, hopefully they can get this car tightened up and maybe get a good qualifying run in here momentarily.
Meanwhile, Jason Toy is with the crew chief of the car that was fastest in practice.
Yeah, he's supervising a lot of the work that's going on right now in the 10-minute time period that they have. They can cool the car down. They're changing the tires right now, put on the qualifying tires for him, too. The driver sits in the car where he's comfortable, and that's Chris Ravel. Adam Stevens is the crew chief down here as he talks things over. Actually, we're going to let him finish up his thought here with his guys here as they continue to crunch the numbers. Talking to him, listening to him on the radio, very happy with the balance of the race car. They like their short-run speed. They can improve on their long-run speed, and that's exactly what they're working with right now with the guys and the engineers that are here, but also the crew that is back in Charlotte and Concord area, back in the offices there to kind of help them out and looking at the analytics on things to try to make this a faster Toyota. Again, this is the biggest thing they want. They want that long-run longevity that they're trying to get here for this race car.
That's the key. You got to be able to make your car last over a long green flag span.
Yeah, you definitely do, and this is one that this track with the repave and the pieces we've talked about, it brings some challenges to all these crews. They'll all be crunching this now to qualifying and then overnight for tomorrow's race.
From Iowa Speedway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
You've never been one to idly watch someone else do something for you. There's pride in self-reliance, in working with your hands, in harnessing the power of an E3 spark plug with Diamond Fire technology, yielding better engine performance. You have a choice to make. Take control of your ride, of your life, or be the passenger princess of it. Visit e3sparkplugs.com to put the power in your hands.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-212-2828. 800-212-2828. That's 800-212-2828.
We welcome you back to Iowa Speedway. Teams are getting set to put their cars on the grid as we're going to go qualifying here. Short track style, which means everybody will go out on the racetrack. You'll get 2 green flag laps, taking the fastest lap of your 2.
Interesting to watch who's going to take which line will pay off. Up from the bottom of the racetrack is what has produced some of the fastest. We've seen in the ARCA Menard Series race last night, and even this practice session to kick us off here today, that the bottom lane isn't necessarily the best lane. It looks like to be a little slick. So drivers have done a good job, Todd, of moving their car around the racetrack to maximize the speed.
Yeah, it definitely looked like the second lane came into these guys. In qualifying trim, is that still the case? We're going to have to see as this unfolds here, whether somebody can wrap around the bottom and shorten up the racetrack or whether it's going to be a top lane. Steve Post, you've got one of the competitors here.
Oh, absolutely, Todd. You and I were in the garage area, of course, Alex and Mike down there, and we talked to crew chiefs and talked about the challenge of this qualifying and practice session. Joey Logano down here. Joey, what have some of the challenges been that you've seen that this racetrack, this tire, and everything has thrown you here today?
Well, we got a lot of challenges right now. I'm pretty sure we were maybe the slowest one in practice, so I just keep swinging at it here. Just the back wants to go around the corner a lot faster than the front does, and it's trying to pass me. So hopefully we can get to the other end of it here and at least see what tight feels like, hopefully, and maybe there's a little more speed there. But scratching our heads at the moment.
Well, that's exactly right. And a lot of head scratching going on down here. That's Joey Logano. He'll be out in the Shell Pennzoil Ford Mustang here in just a little bit.
The second to last car in practice from Iowa Speedway. This is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Hello?
Hey, it's your man Tank. Watching you hold back tears swallowing that celery stick. It's a hard sight to see, Tim.
I'm almost done. Just let me get this down.
Stop it, man. Seriously. We don't have to do this to us.
You're right. I hate veggies so much. How can I be more like you?
Hey, buddy, I am you. Just full of meat. Jack Link's Beef Jerky, official meat snack of NASCAR. Feed your wild side.
It's on MRN Classic Races on any podcast platform.
The year was 1993. The NASCAR Cup Series season kicked off with the Dale and Dale show at the Daytona 500.
Dale Jarrett's got the lead. He goes to the inside. Earnhardt's not going to get him. Dale Jarrett is going to win the Daytona 500 by SDP. Earnhardt second.
The 1993 NASCAR Cup Series season. All the highs and lows. Relive them all on MRN's exclusive podcast, The 1993 Season. Available on podcast platforms and MRN.com.
Back at Iowa Speedway, getting ready for qualifying for the Iowa Corn 350 when the cars get all lined up. First off will be Cody Ware. He'll be followed by Joey Gase, then Austin Dillon, Noah Gragson, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the first 5 that will pull onto the racetrack. Shane Van Gisbergen will go at mid-pack for qualifying. He's with our Steve Post.
Has the Red Bull colors on the Chevy down here, so what have you learned about your race car here today at Iowa Speedway, Shane?
Not too bad, yeah. I think we were 6th or something in the first group, so pretty tough track. It's got no grip till you get to the newer seal in the corner, and then, yeah, having fun.
Having fun. All right, let's talk about a little fun you had this week. You've ran the summer shootout this year in your Legends car on Tuesday night. You actually won the pro feature. What has that been like, just running out there, running that Legends car, and getting your first oval track win in that Legends car on Tuesday night?
Yeah, it's been a blast. I had a lot of fun racing with Scotty McLaughlin and Bubba Wallace in the same team, and yeah, we've just had fun every Tuesday. And yeah, to get a win was just a bonus, I guess, but I enjoyed it. I'll probably do it next year too.
That sounds like a good plan. That's Shane Van Gisbergen, feeling pretty good about his car here on the oval at Iowa. We'll see how he fares when he goes out qualifying here in just a moment.
Wonder if he ever in a million years thought, I'm going to be racing NASCAR in America coming from New Zealand. Well, he's accomplished that. Then how about let's go race a Legends car on a Tuesday night against some competitors he races on Sundays with in the NASCAR Cup Series. Some other folks, maybe even somebody much younger than him, a teenager or less that he's racing against out there.
You know, just hearing his voice and hearing his enthusiasm, it doesn't matter what he races. He enjoys what he does. He obviously has made the transition here to the States, and he's having a blast. He's won 3 times this year in the NASCAR Cup Series. He's won at Mexico, Chicago, Sonoma, and admittedly, the oval track portion is the weak link in his skill set, but through what he did the other night in the summer shootout and also what he's doing now, just clicking off these oval starts, that's playing into his wheelhouse. He's starting to develop that skill set, and I'm sure he'll ace that too.
Yeah, I think that is a fair assessment. Qualifying is underway. Cody Ware, the first driver to go out. He is going to stand on his first lap time. It was the faster of the two as Joey Gase now comes up to speed. We check in with Jason Toy.
Austin Cindric's down here in the Ford. He had a fast forward early on in that practice here early on for Austin. You guys had a very fast Ford, Menards Ford out there to start things off in practice. What was the long run speed like for you guys, and how important is that for you for tomorrow?
Yeah, there's really not a ton of tire fall off at the moment, so I think it's a lot more about understanding where the track's at and what my priorities are. And the track's changed so much year over year now, and kind of being able to run up high like you saw the Xfinity cars. And it's one of those days you kind of just put the notebook aside and just start watching and listening and seeing what's happening, and that'll be important here for this qualifying session as well.
All right, when you're watching the driver in front of you and you're watching the seams, you always hear about going across seams. You're going from new asphalt to old asphalt. How significant of a change is that?
I think it's actually the entire characteristic of driving this lap is the fact that I'm turning off the wall on old asphalt and trying to get to new asphalt as quickly as possible. So it's a tricky place and a lot of effort. But no, like you said, I think our Menards Ideal Garage Door Ford Mustang's pretty decent. Just got to go lay down a good lap.
All right, there you go, Austin Cindric. He'll qualify here on the back end of qualifying today.
We'll find out how it comes out. Austin Cindric represented the Ford camp when they did the tire test here at Iowa Speedway earlier this year. And you know, Todd, we keep hearing, and Mike too, we keep hearing these drivers talk about we're not getting any tire fall off here. And this is a different tire compound that we're racing than what we did 1 year ago. Goodyear's in a tough spot. Yes, you want to have tires last because you're trying to sell tires to everybody who owns a car on every street in America. So you don't want tires to come out here and fail early on and wear out, but you also got to have that fine balance of trying to put on good racing.
Yeah, and as we've looked at the short track and road course program, with this Gen 7 car, it's been a challenge because Goodyear's built such a good piece. When we added 2 inches to the tire footprint on all 4, it became easier for these teams to be consistent. As Austin Cindric talked about tire fall-off, when we talk about tire fall-off, the fact that the tire maintains its grip through laps, and it's not tires falling off, it's just the lap time stays consistent, that there's that amount of potential left in the tire lap after lap. Goodyear's been working on this, and that's something that they've gone to work on. NASCAR took aerodynamic pieces away. They tried to make this program better with the short tracks. They finally put it in Goodyear's hands. Goodyear has brought softer tires to a lot of these racetracks, and that's led them to kind of overworking the tire compound and actually making it have some give up and chase some racing a little bit better. Goodyear's done a good job of it, but it's a tough box for them to work on, as you talked about, a compromise between building something that's longevity but building something that puts on better racing.
Austin Dillon has just gone to the top of the leaderboard with a 23.271 lap. That's 135.362 miles per hour. Noah Gragson just completed his second lap. His second lap and is second on the leaderboard, followed by Cody Ware and Joey Gase. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is on the racetrack right now. That bright orange and blue colored NOS Energy Chevrolet exits turn 2. He's on the green flag right now. After Ricky, you have Eric Jones, Ross Chastain, Zane Smith, Ty Dillon, and Riley Herbst to go out for their effort.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr., we heard from him a little earlier in practice. He is, like everybody else, battling a loose race car here today. Lap number 1 is complete for Stenhouse. He'll go 4th out of the 5 drivers that have taken time, so we'll find out if he can pick up here on lap number 2.
Well, he's exiting turn 2 right now. Lap 1 is in the books. Let's see what lap 2 has in store. Here's Ricky. He'll glide off the end of the back straightaway. He'll dip down to the bottom and let the car swing a bit wide, and he'll split that new pavement that we've been talking about. Here he comes off the corner with a checkered flag flying at the start-finish line.
He will improve. He'll go up to the number 2 position right now, right behind Austin Dillon, who continues to be the fastest. Still a beautiful sunshiny day here in central Iowa, Newton, Iowa to be exact, east of downtown Des Moines, as we work the NASCAR Cup Series qualifying on the speedway now. Working down the backstretch is Eric Jones from Legacy Motor Club.
Legacy Motor Club taking strides forward here in 2025. Eric Jones and obviously teammate John Hunter Nemechek at the controls of those Legacy Motor Club Toyotas. White flag is in the air for Eric Jones.
Eric Jones, second fastest on lap number 1. Let's see if he can get a little more out of the race car here on his second trip around the racetrack. He's going to have to pick up a good 1/10 of a second if he wants to have any shot of knocking Austin Dillon off the top of the leaderboard.
Off turn 4, Eric Jones swinging that car wide, trying to angle up and get a good run to the start-finish line. Checker flag in the air. Will not improve. He'll stay second on the leaderboard. That last lap was a 23.365, 134.817 mile per hour lap.
Of course, they're qualifying to find out what starting position they're going to have in tomorrow's Iowa Corn 350. But Todd Gordon, also based off of how you qualify, is the order in which you pick your pit box. And this is a unique pit lane here at Iowa Speedway.
Yeah, definitely. With it wrapping around turn 1, there's boxes around the corner. There's openings where you get into the garage areas here between 23, 24, between 14 and 15. You know, you look for those opportunities to have a pit stall that you can get out of without traffic being in your way. Qualifying brings you the opportunity to pick. The pole sitter will pick first. He'll pick pit stall 1. Second place will pick second. You have that opportunity to put yourself in a better place to fight from tomorrow on pit road.
Ross Chastain's first lap has him 6th of 7 drivers. Let's see what he does now. The checkered flag is flying for the native of Alva, Florida.
Third quick now for Ross Chastain of the 7 drivers that have taken time. Based off of what we saw in practice, his car was fairly consistent, albeit out of Group 1. And I say that because that is a bit of a detriment from what we've seen. If you were in group number 1 in practice today, the racetrack just wasn't primed, as they say.
And this is kind of the year that Trackhouse Racing and really Phil Surgeon and Ross have had. They've had great race pace. Their ability to qualify, that's been something they've talked about having to work on, that they were qualifying in the 30s. They thought they were making gains when they were qualifying in the 20s. This is part of their project that they've got to work on, making their program better on Saturday so they can put themselves in a better position to execute on Sunday.
Zane Smith on the racetrack right now. Zane driving for Front Row Motorsports. Lap 1, 6th of 8. And here comes Zane now, taking that purple, green, and black Ford Mustang to the bottom of the racetrack out of turn number 4.
Here's Zane Smith across the line. Checkered flag is out. Zane Smith will go to the second position. Good lap there. Let's hear from the Brickyard 400 winner, Bubba Wallace.
That does have a pretty good ring to it. Alex Hayden just said, let's hear from the Brickyard 400 winner, Bubba Wallace. How's that sound? Does that sound all right to you?
That sounds really good. It's cool to see the win sticker on the car. We can come into these next 4 weeks and really, push myself to try to just drive harder, drive faster, but smarter at the same time. So it's just fun to have that no stress mentality, have fun, expose our weaknesses. It's nice showing up, man. It's nice showing up and having really fast cars, and that's what we have here today. So all true Toyota Camry is really good. I want it better. I want to be greedy and get it better, but it's good to be here in Iowa with some speed.
Prior to us talking, Dale Jarrett, Hall of Famer, just come over and shook your hand. What's this week been like with competitors and people reaching out to you? Yeah. The respect you have just seems to, I've noticed that. What's that been like on the receiving end of that?
Yeah, I noticed him being like a little fanboy, just standing over here waiting his turn. That's cool to have that respect and that relationship with a guy like DJ, and he's always been really good to me and supported me, so I appreciate that. But yeah, man, just everybody reaching out is cool. It makes you feel like you've kind of earned your spot in the sport. But I still got a long way to go, but it's definitely appreciated.
How's the car here now? Let's talk a little bit more about this.
No, it's good. All true Camry is solid. Looks really good. Appreciate those guys coming back on board. We always have some good runs, good times with them. A lot of big names in my car, so I got to live up to the hype.
I'm sure he will. He's Alex Hayden. He's the Brickyard 400 champion. That's Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, he is, and he mentioned some of the big names on the car. Well, he's got NFL quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield. He's got the Baker Mayfield Foundation on the quarter panel of his race car here this weekend. So, yeah, he's got a little extra pressure from his professional athlete peers as we work qualifying. Austin Dillon, still the fastest. Zane Smith is second. Lee Herbst is now third. Eric Jones fourth. And Ross Chastain currently sits fifth. From Iowa Speedway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Looking for motorsports podcasts you won't find anywhere else? Check out the Motor Racing Network's lineup of exclusive podcasts. MRN Classic Races, Junior's Journey, The Many Hats of Jack Roush, Richard Petty, Road to Royalty, 50 Years of MRN, Jeff Gordon, A Colorful Career, and The Tough Trucks of NASCAR. Find these and more MRN exclusive podcasts on podcast providers and MRN.com.
Do you have an unused car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or RV taking up space? Put it to good use by donating it to the NASCAR Foundation. Proceeds help fund medical resources for children in our racing community. Your wheels can heal. Call 844-NASCAR-9 and we'll come tow away your vehicle for free. The process is quick and your gift is tax deductible. Call 844-NASCAR-9 to donate your vehicle to the NASCAR Foundation today. Your donation will help our children survive and thrive.
Back at Iowa Speedway, Daniel Suarez has gotten his qualifying lap in. He'll go to the number 5 spot for the moment. Michael McDowell works the racetrack, takes the green flag as we check in with Jason Toy.
William Byron is down here as he gets ready to jump behind the wheel of the Raptor Chevrolet, watching Michael McDowell go by into turns 1 and 2. And all right, you guys went in that second group, had a little more rubber down there. You had one of the fastest 5-lap, 10-lap, and towards 15 laps. So obviously long-run speed's there. What do you need to have here in this qualifying speed?
Yeah, I mean, that's news to me. I was just out there making laps. I felt like our car, had a little bit of a brake problem the first run. This didn't have the brake pedal feel I wanted, so we had to pit to work on that. I think if we didn't have that, we probably would have just kept running because my car felt close enough. But yeah, I think my car was could it stand to improve. The track is just really tricky. It's the way you cross into the new pavement and the bump content on the straightaways is just making for a tough ride. But it's I think overall my car was pretty reasonable there and probably within something that I can go qualify and hopefully put up a good lap.
All right, there you go, William Byron. He's getting ready to jump behind the wheel, and Alex throw the leg over that door and jump in there and get ready to roll here for his qualifying attempt. But this is why we have professional race car drivers to get a challenging track like this. It's going to make 350 laps here tomorrow. Very fun to watch.
Joey Logano is going to try to improve. He was next to last on practice leaderboard. Logano's lap number 1, Mike, was a good one.
And it put him second on the leaderboard. Can he improve it? Checkered flag waving at the start-finish line, and it will not take him to the top. Michael McDowell is the number 1 driver. Did that a couple of cars ago. It's McDowell, Logano, Austin Dillon, Zane Smith, Riley Herbst. They are the fastest 5 cars of the 13 that have taken time so far.
That'll bring us to the Ladera Ranch, California native, and Cole Custer in the Haas factory team entry as Cole works his way down the back straightaway. That red, black, silver Ford Mustang Dark Horse. Custer makes his way in the second lane through turns 3 and 4. Let's see what kind of speed Cole has on lap number 1.
Here comes the general off the corner to take the white flag, and he will go 7th of the 14. So right now, mid-pack of those cars that have qualified, but that was only lap 1. Here comes lap 2. He's at him 2 up the back straightaway, and now he'll ease it off the end of that back stretch into turn 3.
Makes his way right down to the bottom of the racetrack. Here comes Cole Custer up off of the corner. Custer will try to improve from the number 7 spot. He will do so. He'll jump up to the 4th position.
Let's hear from Denny Hamlin.
He's got new colors on the side of his Toyota Camry here this weekend, and Denny Hamlin, he's got Bob's Discount Furniture and kind of a Miami Dolphin type color scheme on this race car, but he got a little scratch on it during practice out there. So how is this track, and how's the driver behind the wheel of that race car?
Yeah, it's car's somewhat close. You know, it needs a little bit of work, but I feel like we can get there. And certainly, Key is going to have good track position. You got to do that today. So we're working on it, looking through all the data, seeing if we can't put ourselves somewhere in that top 10.
You talked about looking through the data. How nice is it to have all of this technology at your hands like this in the short amount of time between the practice and qualifying?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, you gotta be able to understand what to look at and what not to. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to look at.
I just see pretty colors, so that's pretty good, right?
Definitely.
There you go, Denny Hamlin with a smile on his face. He's watching those colors of the racetrack of the computer screens here, and when we talk about the colors, it's the ghost run cars. So basically, laying car over car over car and checking the lines on what they're running here to try to determine how he's going to make his lap a little bit later on.
Tyler Reddick getting his qualifying effort in. I don't think, Todd, that's exactly what they had in mind as they end up 5th right now out of the 15 drivers that have taken a lap.
Yeah, if you looked at it, we thought this was one of the best cars and one of the fastest cars early in that Group 1 session. Looked a little bit loose. That's something you see like a lot of these cars do. Loose into turn 1's been taking some speed away.
Well, loose into turn 1 is a result of a huge bump that these drivers are driving over at one of the most critical portions. You're trying to get the car angled to go to the bottom of the racetrack or just get angled into corner entry. You're on the brakes. You hit this bump, and Alex, we see it from the tower, how that unsettles the car and gets that car a bit cattywampus going into the corner. These drivers have a handful under braking going into turn 1.
And the suspension is already rigid the way it is with the car riding as low to the ground. Josh Berry on the track in his Menards Ford Mustang. Lap number 1 was a great one. He'll go to the top of the leaderboard. Josh Berry and the Wood Brothers at the top of the board at Iowa Speedway. Lap number 2, not quite as good as his first effort, so he'll stand on lap number 1's time.
And A.J. Allmendinger is now on the racetrack. A.J. had a good practice early on. Of course, A.J. driving for Colleague Racing. He'll take his Chevrolet through turns 1 and 2, and we'll see if he can back up in practice or in qualifying the success he had in practice earlier today.
It was a solid effort for that team as he makes his way up off of turns 3 and 4, and it looks like we got a little cloud cover now. Most of the back stretch and all of turn number 3 and part of turn 4 now in the cloud cover. We'll find out if that will help with the grip level or not as A.J. Allmendinger goes 4th on lap number 1.
Halfway down the back straightaway for A.J. Allmendinger, flying the Celsius colors this weekend here at Iowa. He'll dial up the low lane coming out of turn number 4. He'll swing wide. Checkered flag is waving for A.J. at the start-finish line.
A.J. Allmendinger goes to the top of the leaderboard, 23.174 seconds, 135.928 miles per hour. While Allmendinger comes to pit lane, back down to pit road we go with Jason Toy.
Hey, he's throwing the stock hat on. He's getting ready to put the helmet on. You had fast time in practice. Can you back it up here in qualifying here? It seems like the later we go in it, the faster these cars are getting.
Yeah, that's normal. The track conditions will get a little bit better. We've got the Room Camry to do it. Super sketchy out there. and that's the way it should be. So we'll see what happens.
All right, he's looking forward to having fun time on this racetrack. Christopher Bell, fastest in practice, looking to back it up at qualifying.
Shane Van Gisbergen, 7th fastest on his first lap as he exits 2 on his second lap. From Iowa Speedway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Third-generation race car driver, and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Only one race remains in the regular season of the 2025 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. NASCAR's officially sanctioned esports series featuring the top sim racers from around the world. With several points-paying positions still up for grabs on the 10-driver playoff grid, the regular season finale is prepped to be a thriller. Don't forget to tune in August 5th at 8 p.m. Eastern for round 14 at Pocono on eNASCAR.com. Brought to you by Coca-Cola, iRacing, and NASCAR.
Back here at Iowa Speedway as qualifying continues, Shane Van Gisbergen stays in the 7th spot right now as we have here 37 drivers entered. However, only 36 will take time. One driver will not qualify, and that will be Kyle Busch. And that's because in practice today, Mike, Kyle Busch had himself a big crash.
He had a huge crash. Sent that car off into turn number 1. The car broke loose. He chased it, and then all of a sudden it snapped right, and he went hard into the outside wall. The good news is, for you Kyle Busch fans, your boy's okay. Went to the care center, got treated and released. But the team, Alex, immediately went to the hauler for car number 2 this weekend.
And that is a monumental task. And right now, Todd, that will put them behind the 8 ball now for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, it does. It puts them in a piece where they're going to have to work pretty hard. But, it's not something you can't overcome. I look back to the Coke 600. Ross Chastain won the Coke 600 coming from the back. So there's opportunity here, but it put him definitely behind the 8 ball.
Let's get the thoughts of the defending winner of the Iowa Corn 350, who's with Steve Post.
Ryan Blaney down here talking with Raymond Fox III, one of the longtime crew members and car chief on this car. Ryan, Christopher Bell just called it sketchy out there. What have you learned about this racetrack here in this practice session today?
I agree with said statement. Practice, you saw a lot of cars just out of control entry of the corner, and just nothing to lean on. And then you don't have as much grip through the middle of the corner to save you like last year. It was definitely a sketchy practice, but fun, like trying to figure out what's the limit, what's my arc limit that I can get, because you want to get as big arc as you can, but then you're asking more rear lateral out of the car. So it's like, where's that balance, and what can you do to change your car and driving style to, kind of combat that and make it the best you can. So, we'll see. I felt like I wasn't driving great in practice. I thought our pace was okay. I feel like everyone's going to say that their car wasn't driving good. It's just a matter of who could figure it out a little bit faster. So hopefully we can lay a lap down and start towards the front tomorrow.
You mentioned earlier today, talking to reporters, this was almost like a crown jewel to you because you grew up in this area, your grandmother lived in this area. So you got a big contingent, everyone ready for maybe a second celebration here this weekend?
Yeah, we got a lot of family in the stands again, just like last year. My mom's from just down the road, so I spent a lot of time in Newton and Sheraton as a kid, and this place means a lot to me and means a lot to my mom growing up. So we have a big incentive to try to win this one, and hopefully we can get it done and get the family down from the grandstands like we did last year.
That was a cool moment, that's for sure. That is Ryan Blaney getting ready to go out. Also a cool moment in the Blaney family. Tonight at Sharon Speedway up in the eastern part of Ohio. It's the memorial race for his grandfather on the other side, the Lou Blaney Memorial tonight up there. So a lot of good family stuff happening this weekend with the Blaneys, and Ryan's hoping they can all celebrate here tomorrow for the second consecutive season at Iowa Speedway.
Got to get his qualifying lap in and not be too sketchy on the racetrack. That's been the word of the day here for these drivers. Ty Gibbs, he qualified 7th a moment ago. He will now be drop kicked back to the number 8 spot.
Justin Haley across the line into P2 on the leaderboard, 23.198. That's a 135.788 mile per hour lap. Good run for Justin Haley, Inspire Motorsports.
Yeah, definitely a good run, and doing it in lap 2. I really like the fact he could turn down off of turn 4 and kind of shorten up, getting to the start-finish line. Austin Cindric's out here. One of the guys I feel like that's going to be a competitor later. Kyle Larson looked really good in practice. Jason Toy?
Yeah, Kyle sits down here. He's the last driver to go out, so he gets a chance to look at all the data on everybody as he rolls out. We've heard words like sketchy and slippery and everything else out there. What's the challenge for this track for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely all that. So mostly for me, just the entries. So once I get in the corner, my car feels pretty good. But yeah, it'll be on edge, I'm sure, for qualifying here. So if we can, lay down a good lap.
All right, he's looking at all the data here, watching his teammates getting ready to go out here in just a moment. That's Kyle Larson, be the last to qualify here today.
Austin Cindric goes to the top of the leaderboard, 23.310 seconds, 135.135 mile an hour. After what was a dismal practice session, it was amazing to watch Austin Cindric turn that in. Actually, that's a 23.101, 136.358. The second lap was slower than the first.
That's part of it. You get 2 laps. You can take the fastest lap of the 2. It's not very often the first lap is going to be the best, but sometimes you get yourself in a bit of a bind on lap 2, just trying to dig and get a little more.
One of the things I noticed when you look at this, it's kind of split amongst the field as Chase Briscoe goes to the top of the board with a 23.004, 136.933 miles an hour. That's lap 1. We'll see what he does in lap 2, but teams like the Team Penske cars, the Penske Alliance cars, they are all fastest on lap 1. We've seen other cars like Allmendinger and Haley lap 2. I wonder if their tire pressures are in different places for qualifying. Chase Briscoe, not quite faster on the second lap, but still really impressive. P1 so far.
Chase Briscoe has been amazing on Saturdays. Qualifying has been unbelievable for Chase Briscoe here in 2025. Matter of fact, winning his 5th pole last weekend of the Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
And that lap is faster than last year's pole speed set by Kyle Larson. So they have picked up the pace just a bit here in 2025's version of the Iowa Corn 350, at least here in qualifying.
And part of that being the softer tire that Goodyear's brought back here. Although the asphalt's getting a little bit of wear on it, the tire's got more grip in it. At least it does once it gets down to that new asphalt, because turn 1 entry still seems like the challenge for these guys.
John Hunter Nemechek just turned in the 18th fastest lap of the 23 cars that have qualified so far. John Hunter Nemechek making his 100th start of the NASCAR Cup Series tomorrow here in Iowa.
John Hunter up off turn number 4, and here he is across the line. John Hunter Nemechek will go to 18th on the board for John Hunter on his second lap on that green and white Dollar Tree Toyota from Legacy Motor Club. Next car in line will be Carson Hocevar, who goes off into turn number 1.
Here's Hocevar. He'll take that car off the end of the front straightaway. Second groove off the bottom. Spire Motorsports cars pretty good here so far, with Justin Haley 4th, Michael McDowell in 6th. Let's see what Carson Hocevar can do as he's flying the Spire banner off turn number 4, looking for the white flag of the start-finish line.
Not bad in practice was Hocevar, and a not bad lap number 1. 4th fastest for Carson Hocevar in that Chevrolet. He digs for a little more up off turn number 2, hits the back straightaway.
Carson Hocevar, that is. Here he comes into turn number 3. 2 lanes off the bottom of the racetrack, and he'll swing that car wide. He's going to get a good angle, going to bring it down to the start-finish line. Checkered flag is waving there. Can he get quicker on the second lap? Yes. He will go to 3rd. He'll bump A.J. Allmendinger back to 4th with a 23.159 second lap.
You look at this, in Spire Motorsports, 3rd, 5th, and 7th. The consistency out all 3 programs there. We'll see where that plays out as we've got the 17 car of Chris Buescher on the racetrack.
Buescher in that black and orange Ford makes his way into turn number 3, the 3 Spire cars. Hocevar is 3rd, then 5th is Justin Haley, 7th is Michael McDowell. White flag out for Chris Buescher.
Buescher across the line. That was not the lap he was looking for. 18th on lap 1. With a 23.398 second lap. Remember, the pole was 23.0 23.093, or make that 23.004, set by Chase Briscoe just a moment ago. Here's Chris Buescher, who'll try to go faster on lap number 2. Let's see if he can get that Ford Mustang further up the leaderboard.
Here he is. Checkered flag is out. Lap number 2 complete. Buescher will stay in the 18th spot. So a driver who's just kind of floundering back there. The last car on the playoff cut line right now, 42 points to the good. At least going to be mid-pack at the start of this race, right back there. Not necessarily, I don't think, where you want to be.
Not it at all. Todd Gilliland has just taken the green flag. He is on the racetrack right now, and he bobbles out of 2. And he really had to check up Alex. He was headed for the outside wall.
Got that bright yellow Love's Travel Stop Ford Mustang off the outside wall. Comes right back down. So lap number 1 will not be the best of circuits. Good thing is he's got a second circuit to try to get around and get the job done. 25th on lap number 1.
Yeah, 25th of 26 cars. Well, he knows not what to do, or knows what not to do. In turn number 2, he'll ease through and onto the back straightaway. And let's see what that Love's Travel Stops Ford Mustang does. He's a bit wide in the corner. The car twitches just a tad coming off turn number 4.
Here's the checkered flag out. 2-lap qualifying effort for Todd Gilliland is over. Improves by 1 position. Gilliland goes up to 24th. Chase Briscoe, still the fastest. Up off turn number 4 comes a Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet and driver William Byron.
Once Willie B wraps up his qualifying effort, we've got Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Christopher Bell, Ryan Preece, Ryan Blaney, Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Larson. And then qualifying for the Iowa Corn 350 will be over.
Here's William Byron in turn number 3. Sun bounces off of that lime green and black Raptor paint scheme as the white flag goes in the air. Lap number 1 for William Byron.
William Byron 9th overall with a 23.270 second lap. And we've seen, for the most part, a lot of these drivers had that fast second lap. William, 9th of the 27 cars that have qualified so far. Here he comes out of turn number 4 to complete lap number 2.
Trying to improve from that number 9 spot as he makes his way down to the finish line. William Byron will jump all the way up to 2nd. Good second lap for William Byron. It's Chase Briscoe the quickest. William Byron 3/100ths of a second behind him. In the number 2 spot, Austin Cindric. Currently 3rd, Brad Keselowski begins his qualifying lap from Iowa Speedway. This is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-212-2828. 800-212-2828. That's 800-212-2828.
You've never been one to idly watch someone else do something for you. There's pride in self-reliance, in working with your hands, in harnessing the power of an E3 spark plug with Diamond Fire technology, yielding better engine performance. You have a choice to make. Take control of your ride, of your life, or be the passenger princess of it. Visit e3sparkplugs.com to put the power in your hands.
Back here as the white flag goes in the air at Iowa Speedway for Chase Elliott. As Chase will go 6th, he wants to be a little better than that as Chase Elliott will head for the backstretch, chasing perfection.
Of course, when we left you, Brad Keselowski was on the racetrack, had a great first lap, 4th, and then he almost stuffed it in the fence in turns 3 and 4. Brad immediately brought the car down to pit road, which left the track open for Chase Elliott. Lap 1, he was 6th. Does he improve?
No, he's going to stay in the number 6 spot, is Chase Elliott. So currently it's Chase Briscoe the fastest, William Byron 2nd, Austin Cindric 3rd, Brad Keselowski 4th, Carson Hocevar 5th, Chase Elliott is 6th, A.J. Allmendinger 7th. Rest of the top 10 are Justin Haley, Josh Berry, and Michael McDowell.
Alex Bowman is on the racetrack right now. Alex, it's hard to believe that we got 4 races to go in the regular season, and Alex Bowman is not taking that Ally Chevrolet to victory lane. Perhaps maybe this could be a good weekend for him to get that done.
Yeah, they've they've had speed in their race car all season long, just haven't been able to put the race together from green flag to checkered flag. Lap number 1 is 12th best for Alex Bowman.
He caked that car into turn number 1. He'll dial the low lane up in 1 and 2. He'll get a good run off the corner and up the back straightaway. Now as he dives it off into turn number 3, he's going to be about a lane off the bottom of the racetrack, and he'll cut that car to now a half lane off the bottom as he'll swing wide looking for checkers.
That dark purple Chevrolet comes across the line, and Bowman will not improve from the number 12 spot. So Alex Bowman will, at the moment, be sitting right there hoping he doesn't drop too much further with just a handful of cars remaining.
Now the driver onto the racetrack is the driver that was fastest in single lap speed earlier, Christopher Bell of Joe Gibbs Racing, taking those white, black, and red ream colors around the racetrack. He has just taken the green flag. Here he goes off turn number 2, and he's halfway up the backstretch.
Interested onlooker is his teammate Chase Briscoe, who's been the fastest in qualifying to this point. Here comes Christopher Bell. Lap number 1 about to go in the books.
White flag is in the air. 1 lap left for C. Bell. 21st of the 31 cars that have qualified so far. Now let's see if that too can take him further up the leaderboard. He's trying to take that Toyota Camry to the pole and knock his teammate back to the second spot.
Right in the middle of the racetrack through turns 3 and 4. Puts the foot down on the mat on the accelerator off turn number 4. Checkered flag is out for Christopher Bell.
13th overall, 23.268 seconds, 135.379 miles per hour for Christopher Bell. Here's Ryan Preece. He'll fly under the green flag. 4 drivers left after Ryan. That would be Ryan Blaney, Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Larson.
Ryan Preece did not have the best of practices earlier today. He ended up on the right side of the computer screen, which typically means that's the wrong side of the leaderboard where you want to be.
Yeah, definitely in the late 20s, early 30s. They just didn't find speed out of this race car. Here he completes his first lap. That's only 29th fastest with a 23.595. They've got some speed to work out with he and Derek Finley here in the 60 car.
Here comes Ryan Preece up the back straightaway. Again, that's 29th overall, 23.595 on lap 1 for Ryan Preece. He is on the outside of the playoff bubble looking in, 42 points below the cutoff line. He'll need to win in one of the next 4 races to make the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Alex, what do you do on lap 2?
He was faster than his first lap. However, he does not improve. 29th of 32 cars to take time for the red, white, and blue Ford of Ryan Preece.
Ryan Blaney takes the green flag right now, and of course he won this race 1 year ago. He takes that car off into turns 1 and 2 under the green flag, flying the blue and white colors on that Ford Mustang this weekend.
With Wabash emblazoned on the hood and down the quarter panels. Here comes Ryan Blaney up off of turn number 4. See what he can do on his first lap. Blaney flashes by start finish. It'll be 5th best on lap number 1. That's not a bad first lap.
This could be a possible pole run here for Ryan Blaney. Depends on what he's able to do coming down the back straightaway. We'll see if he can at least crack the top 5, maybe even sit on the front row for the Iowa Corn 350 tomorrow. Ryan takes the dip into turn 3. He'll ride the seam there on the bottom of the racetrack coming off the corner.
Checker flag in the air. Ryan Blaney sails up underneath it and will stay in the number 5 position behind Brad Keselowski, who is 4th. Austin Cindric currently 3rd. William Byron currently 2nd. And Chase Briscoe atop the leaderboard now with just a couple of cars remaining.
So while we have the opportunity and we catch our breath, let's bring you up to speed. Chase Briscoe right now is the man that everyone is aiming for, with William Byron 2nd. Austin Cindric 3rd, Brad Keselowski 4th, and Ryan Blaney 5th. Carson Hocevar is 6th, Chase Elliott 7th, A.J. Allmendinger's 8th, Justin Haley's 9th, and Josh Berry is 10th.
11th currently is Michael McDowell. Joey Logano is 12th, Alex Bowman 13th, Christopher Bell 14th, and Austin Dillon rounds out the top 15. Brickyard 400 champion Bubba Wallace flies by the start-finish line, begins his 2-lap journey.
His car this weekend is black and orange. Bubba is through turns 1 and 2, taking it up the back straightaway. Trying to go back-to-back here in the NASCAR Cup Series. As Alex mentioned, took the checkered flag 1 week ago in the Brickyard 400 at the legendary Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Lap number 1 for Bubba Wallace as he has a bit of a wiggle coming up off of turn number 4. Shows up on timing and scoring. 16th for Bubba Wallace on lap number 1.
Here he comes up the back straightaway. Bubba's trying to improve that. Again, 16th of the 34 cars that have taken time this afternoon. Here comes Bubba. midway up the banking off of turn number 4. He'll swing it up against the safer barrier. Checkered flag waving at the start-finish line. Again, 16th on lap 1. He'll jump to 13th on lap 2. 23.247 seconds, 135.501 miles per hour.
And then there were two. It's Denny Hamlin on the track now. Kyle Larson will wrap up qualifying for the Iowa Corn 350. Chase Briscoe still the fastest. Denny Hamlin on the racetrack. He'll exit turn 2.
Chase Briscoe sitting on pins and needles. If Briscoe wins this pole, it'll be his 6th of 2025. Denny Hamlin now will take that Bob's Discount Furniture Toyota to the bottom of the racetrack in 3. Here he comes looking for the white flag.
It is in the air. He'll fly by and accept it and will be 17th on lap number 1. 17th for Denny Hamlin. He'll dig for a little more as he exits turn 2. Shoots down the back straightaway, and Mike will tell us if he'll indeed improve or not.
Denny Hamlin taking that teal, red, and yellow colored Toyota Camry through the corner. Checkered flag is waving for Denny Hamlin at the start-finish line. Here he comes across the line. Denny Hamlin 17th on lap 1. He'll go to 10th on lap 2. 23.219 seconds, 135.665 miles per hour.
And the final car is on the racetrack and taking the green flag, and that's the red, white, and blue HendrickCars.com Chevrolet of Kyle Larson. Larson on the racetrack. Chase Briscoe, the fastest right now. One of the two will lead the field to the green flag tomorrow.
Kyle Larson off the end of the back straightaway with that red, white, and blue colored Chevy Camaro. HendrickCars.com on the quarter panels. Here comes Larson across the line. White flag is in the air. 1 lap left for him. What does he do on lap 1?
Third fastest for Kyle Larson. Good first lap. He's going to keep his foot in it. He's going to rock it down the back straightaway at Iowa Speedway. Chase Briscoe watches. Kyle Larson, laser focused, headed to turn 3.
Will it be Chase Briscoe or Kyle Larson on the pole for the Iowa Corn 350? Here comes Larson off the corner. Checkered flag. Kyle Larson's lap is over. Briscoe wins the pole. Larson will stay in third. Chase Briscoe with a 23.093 second last lap, but the fastest of them all, 23.004, 136.933 miles per hour. That's a new track record for Chase Briscoe. And again, the 6th time he will lead the field to the green flag of the NASCAR Cup Series in 2025.
From Iowa Speedway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Every time the siren sounds or lights flash, someone's life is on the line. At Whelen Engineering, we know first responders carry that weight every day. That's why for over 70 years, we've led the emergency warning industry, designing and manufacturing the lights, sirens, and safety systems they trust right here in America. Because when the mission is critical, there's no room for second best. Whelen Engineering, trusted to protect first responders.
Hello?
Hey, it's your man Tank. Watching you hold back tears swallowing that celery stick. It's a hard sight to see, Tim.
I'm almost done. Just let me get this down.
Stop it, man. Seriously. We don't have to do this to us.
You're right. I hate veggies so much. How can I be more like you?
Hey, buddy, I am you. Just full of meat. Jack Link's Beef Jerky, official meat snack of NASCAR. Feed your wild side.
Back at Iowa Speedway, qualifying for the Iowa Corn 350 is over, and Chase Briscoe, Alex, again, leading the field to the green flag. What a qualifying effort for Chase Briscoe and that Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota Camry team.
6th pole position of the 2025 season. Let's hear from our pole winner with Steve Post.
5th time he's won the pole position this season. Chase, just describe, there we go, James Small in here, giving him a congratulatory handshake there. Describe your pole lap and winning the pole and the challenges of getting a quick lap around this racetrack.
Yeah, it was, honestly, it was less sketchy than I thought it was going to be. Practice, the cars were like an absolute handful. You were just all over the place and slipping and sliding around, and qualifying, it had hints of that, but not near as extreme as practice. So it kind of caught me off guard. I was able to run it as hard as I was. I did not think that lap would stick. I got out of the car and told my guys, I said, I really think that's going to be around 6th or 7th. I just heightened 1 and 2 and felt like I gave up time. I definitely felt like I could have ran a high 80 or low 90 if I just would have hit it right. So, yeah, glad that it was able to stick. It's going to be extremely hard to pass tomorrow, so it's nice to be starting up front and see if we can finally just convert one of these things. We started on the pole 6 times now and haven't been able to win one of them, so hopefully tomorrow will be the day.
Do you have a sense as to what your car was over a longer run during practice today?
Yeah, I thought our long run speed was good. You know, we weren't great to unload. We were really tight, and you know, James just once again does such a great job of just understanding what I need and getting the car to do what I needed to do. And yeah, I thought we were good. I think we ended up 3rd quick in practice, and that was probably on lap 20 on tires. So yeah, I definitely think we were in the mix. I don't think we were a dominant car by any means, but I definitely felt like we could you know, be up there. So see what it does.
We shall see. That is for sure. 136.405 miles per hour. Chase Briscoe will lead us to green here tomorrow at Iowa.
With William Byron starting on the outside of the front row. Be sure to tune in for NASCAR Live Race Day. Motor Racing Network's coverage of the Iowa Corn 350 will begin at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. For Steve Post and Jason Toy in the pits, for Todd Gordon and Alex Hayden, I'm Mike Bagley. Be sure to tune in at the top of the hour with NASCAR Xfinity Series coverage, the Hy-Vee Perks 250 from Iowa coming up then. Until then, so long, everybody.
Motor Racing Network's coverage of NASCAR Cup Series practice and pole qualifying for the Iowa Corn 350, powered by ethanol, has come to you from Iowa Speedway. Presented on MRN by E3 Spark Plugs. Powerful and fuel efficient. Find E3 at your nearest auto parts store. Our coverage has come to you under an exclusive radio